Alrighty, welcome to the Solstice recalibration and celebration of the golden light. I am your host, Eric Rains, founder of Unleashing Natural Humanity, and I am honored to be here in this place. It's actually a hotel room. I was trying to do this out in the woods of Montana, but it decided that it was going to rain and thunder on us today, so we're actually in the hotel room right now. But either way, we're still going to get this done. And I just wanted to say thank you all so much for joining us today. We've got quite a few people who are supposed to be showing up, and I don't know if a lot of them are able to do this live. So the replay will be available for everybody once we're done with this. I'll get this uploaded, and then I'll send out the email blast. But the thing about this specific meeting right now is that here in about 15 minutes, we're going to have the actual, the start of summer in, so 11:45 Mountain Standard Time is when the full transmission, the longest day of the summer, the longest day, and everything that comes around with this, the way that we have everything in the planetary spheres, it's coming right out to the end, and there's that 0 point, and then it starts to come back in. And so that's what we're actually playing around with today. So when we go through and we watch this later on, you can actually connect into these energies, but to do it right now in this space, in this time, as we hit that perfect Lagrange point where there's almost like a balance of return. That point right there is going to be especially intense for our intentions that we're going to be creating today. And one of the things that I want everybody to be doing when they're going through this right here in the beginning is just to really kind of think about what you want to see in the world, what kind of a place that you want to exist in, what kind of magic that you want to start seeing in the world around us. And you know, what about yourself that you want to let go? What about your programming, your emotional behavior, your emotional maturity, your energetic mastery? What do you want to make stronger? What do you want to let go? And these are really the core concepts of what we're trying to get accomplished today. Inside of that space of an extremely vibrant and energetic atmosphere, inside of the planetary shifting, inside of, you know, everything that's happening right here, we are on a critical point of extreme manifestation. And this is exactly why the ancient cultures used to really celebrate the equinoxes, the solstices, you know, because they were very powerful points in time to where they could start to get a feel for what was coming for the next quarter of the year, what they wanted to see for the next quarter of the year. And this is one of the things that we've really been guided to come back to it, to use these natural energies in this time, in this space, to start creating a manifestation portal that we can then create timeline slipstreams that we can move through and we can get into, and we can really experience what we want to. So what we're going to do before we get started here is we're just going to take a few moments to really kind of cement in the type of the world that we want to see, the type of a space inside of ourselves that we want to experience, that we want to live inside of. And so let's just go ahead and take about 30 seconds or so to really take some deep breaths in around this and start to feel the vibrancy of what you want to experience. And inside of that vibrancy, recognize the density of what you want to let go. And we're not doing anything energetically here to start making this stronger or try to transmute and release anything. What we're doing right now is bringing a very, very clear awareness. So let's go ahead and just settle back and deep breaths into the body. Feeling the sensations as you start to see the world around you energetically activated. Feeling generosity, love, and contributionism as a guiding program under the surface of the entire collective of humanity. See that sensation that's created from just tuning into this. And notice how it's almost like on the other end, there's a heaviness that's trying to keep us from moving into that. This might be a whole host of things. It might be just one. But it really doesn't matter because we can see the sensation. Really turn up this awareness, feeling the future of humanity and the sensations that just connecting into that causes inside of the body, and how it's like on the other sides of the scale. It's everything that's holding you back from going into that. And really cement in this focus, cement in this awareness. Let's start connecting in this into the mind level. Let's start connecting this into the story that really helps us find a place to focus. That feeling inside of you as you connect into the future. Recognize that there's absolute abundance from the universe inside of this. That there's family, friend connections that extend out into a community of love, the tribe. See the hard work and the dedication that will evolve inside of such a place to where we can truly start heading as a collective into where we want to go as a species. That motivation, that empowerment, that excitement. On the backside, feel what's dragging you down, that's not allowing you to fully step into that space. Let's put a story around this. These are your programs, whether or not that they were passed down from the parents through the genetics, from past lives, or if you created it here in this lifetime. These are the things about yourself that you know you could work on, that you could put effort into becoming better. Don't hold these in judgment, just observe. And feel the dichotomy of feeling these two energies, the magnificence of the future and what we're stepping into. And at the same time, the feeling of the mundane. From this space right here, we can make a simple decision, a simple choice. We can hold in one hand everything that we've been holding on to that we're scared to let go in order to move into this other space. Because we can't ever fix a problem on the same level that it was created. We have to experience the solution and bring that into the now. And from this space of awareness, all we're going to do is recognize that we enjoy the future, what we're heading into, a lot more than where we're at right now. There's no judgment to where we're at right now. It was a valuable part of the learning experience, the growth. But we know where we want to be. We know who we want to be. And more importantly, deep underneath all of that wanting, we know who we are. Deep breath into the body. Stretch, get the body moving and shifting. And we're going to start from this place right here of unlimited potential. And this is where we're going to start heading right now. Now, what we're going to be doing for this is actually really fun. Sierra was the one who, it was really funny. As she was writing up the description for this, it was almost like she had a complete pathway of where we needed to go energetically for this one. And so what we're actually going to be starting off with is a sacred container, a space to where we can come as a group, as individuals, to create something pure, something powerful that we can all connect into, that we can all enjoy, and yet separate at the same time, be individual as we create the flow of the whole. And inside of this sacred container, what we're going to do is we're going to cut the cords from any of the past connections to negative feelings from people, places, things, events, timelines, whatever it might be. Anything that we have a negative connotation to, or a remembrance that brings up a heavy emotion inside of ourselves. What we're going to do is create this space, and from there, we're going to move that light into all those dense connections. And the way that these feel is it's almost like, say for instance that this is you. You're in the middle right here, and you've got a coworker or a family member who causes a lot of negative emotions that don't feel too good. There's a lot of strife around that person. What it feels like to me is almost like you try to lift up, and as this person stays in the same spot, they get heavy because you're lifting up. And so it's almost like a pulling down effect. And what we do is we find the places from that heaviness to where it connects directly into you. And that right there, what we're going to do is we're going to clean out that space from inside, almost like we're dissolving the centers of those tentacles out all the way into the heaviness, and then we're going to release that and completely let it go. Once we have that done, we're going to go back and test it out and see if we have a reaction emotionally on those levels from the things that we just released. And then we're going to go back and do it again. And so when we do this work, it's always fun to do it one time, to feel that rush, to feel that effect. And then if you actually rest and you let yourself sit on it and you go back into that story and you play around with it, oftentimes it brings up the next level that makes it a lot easier to clean out. And so we're going to hit that twice right there. And then what we're going to do is once we have all of that taken care of, we're actually going to step into our galactic sun self. And what I mean by this is I'm going to show everybody how to grow the body to the point that you're larger than the earth. And what we can do is step inside of our own space with the sun as an energy center and the earth as an energy center. And from that right there, we're going to find that 0 point, that place that we can start really tuning into the direction that we want. The way that this feels like to me is when we are mired in places, when we are mired into an understanding or a program or something along those lines. It's almost like there's only one direction and we can't really deviate from it. We might be able to go over here, but it still pulls us in that same direction. What this feels like, not only with the planetary energies that are happening, but the ability to really pull back into oneness, into yourself without any connections to anything else, is it's almost like you're detaching from that one direction and then you're lifting up into a 360-degree autonomy to where you could head any direction that you want to. And that's what we're going to utilize for this. I'm really excited to see how this goes today. And after that, what we're going to do is we're going to celebrate. You know, we're going to use this time right here, this intention to celebrate not only what we have achieved, but what we are working on right now and what we're going to achieve in the future. And from that space, everything, it's almost like you draw yourself into a timeline. It's almost like you create what is possible. And even if the chances of that possibility are happening are, 200 million to 1, if you align yourself with the resonance of that timeline, the chances are 100% every time. So that's what we're going to step into here. And it's not just us that we're aligning. It's a lot of the planet. It's a lot of the unconscious population as well, as we open up these doorways through our own unconscious spaces. And that's exactly what we are. We're bridges. And that's the point. We have to understand who we are in order to transcend that. And until we don't have that bridge anymore, there's nothing left to transcend. We're going to have to, keep on working on our own programmed aspects, our own spaces that keep us from ascending, to keep us from activating into that light body. And it's not a individual process. It's actually a planetary process. And what we're going to be doing today is going to be opening up the doorway for so many more awakenings. And again, we want to be gentle with this, all non-judgmental. Force with this energy is counterintuitive, because the more gentle that you are with this type of work right here, the more tender of a touch that you have, the more effective the work is. And that being said, smile energy is everything right here, guys. Smile energy is the key. The more that we can turn up the smile energy inside of this, the more powerful this work is going to be. And again, I'm just honored that everybody's here today. And without further ado, let's get started here. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the belly breathing. Demonstrate real fast here. Deep breath in. Exhale and relax. Full belly breaths. Deep breath in. And relax. Deep breaths in. And relax. Let's continue in this pattern here. Nice and gentle, nice and easy, really stretching open the belly, expanding open the chest. And on the exhale, gentle, soft exhales, almost like sighs, almost like it's a complete body relaxation that bleeds the air out right to the bottom, right back up to the top. And the longer that you can smooth out your exhalation, the more you're going to de-trigger the vasovagal response, which is actually what keeps the fight or flight programs going in the body. Let's sink into this for the next 30 seconds or so. Really playing with that mind control. Deep breath in, stretching it all the way open, focusing on the breath, exhaling and letting it go. And notice how by simply tuning in on this breathing pattern, by simply holding on to this focus, the body's already calming, it's already relaxing. And all we're going to do is shift out of the brain and into the body. Stop focusing on the breath and start paying attention to the feelings that it creates, simply starting inside of the skin. Deep breaths in, feeling how everything expands, forcing the muscles to move the skin underneath the clothes to create pressure, almost like a gentle tickling, a sliding. And just by paying attention to that, that's more than enough to start getting the bioelectric flow to activate. That's that slight tingling sensation that you're feeling. And if you aren't feeling that, this should do it for you right here. Pretend that you've got a volume dial attached to the sensations of the skin underneath the clothes. Flex your will and turn that sensation up. Strong. Using each inhale to bring that awareness, that tingling flow, that intensity of the sensation of the skin. Rocket it up. Feeling that bioelectric flow, that electricity your nervous system uses, turning up to the point that it catches the iron in the water in your blood, creating that tingling flow. As soon as we have that buzz, put a gentle smile on your face. As you inhale into this awareness, pull the smile into that tingling, almost like you're trying to pull the feeling of this smile, the simple pulling back of the cheeks and the lips on the teeth. Try to inhale that into the tingling sensations, noticing how it makes that tingling stronger, more intense. From this space right here, begin dropping your awareness underneath the skin into the muscles, inhaling that tingling awareness as you turn this up, pulling the smile underneath the skin. Deep breaths. Feeling how your ribs expand, how the abdomen, from everything from the solar plexus to the pelvis, from the armpits all the way down to the hips on the sides of the body, shifts and opens, expanding. Turn this up, pulling that tingling smile, that feeling, right into the bones, right into the muscles, everything moving underneath the surface here. Start to really feel the mechanics of the expansion. Feel how your sternum, right in the center of the chest, as you inhale and stretch the breath, it hinges all the ribs right on the front. Start following that sensation around the sides of the body, around the back to connect into the spine. Feeling all the muscles stretching in between, everything opening, everything shifting. Deep breaths. Really start to feel this breath stretching, really opening everything up. And relax. Feeling how the body truly lets go on that exhale. Tuning into how everything gets tight on that in-breath, how you lift up the shoulders, how everything lets go and relaxes. We're going to start to use this smile, use this exhale to start to work in the body. On that inhalation, use that smile to uncover places inside of you that aren't smiling. Feel that warmth and that gentle softness that that smile energy brings as you pull it into the tingling of the awareness. And any place that doesn't have that, on the exhale, dissolve that Velcro. Almost like you're becoming aware of glue, like hot glue that hardened inside of the muscle, inside of the bones, the skin, wherever it might be. On that exhale, feel it unlock. Feel it relax. Feel it start to soften and let go. Starting to recognize that this volume dial is universal. Start to turn up that relaxation on the exhale, really lengthening out and softening that exhale. Try to make it like a good 10-second breathe out session. A full lift up to the top. And then completely and totally feeling how you almost want to pause at the bottom of the breath. Now there's a stillness there. Use that inhalation to turn up the awareness of the body, to turn up that stillness. And compound it, make it stronger with each exhale. As you're doing this, ever so gently, just move the shoulders, get a stretch in the neck. Feel the places that are still holding on. And use that simple movement of the body to pay attention to where you need to let go. If you feel like you're stretching over here to the side and it's like the neck isn't letting go, or you're feeling the shoulders getting tight, relax. Big deep breath in, turn up that tingling smile. Exhale and dissolve the Velcro in the neck and the shoulders, feeling it drop, feeling it release. Really using that feeling of the smile to let the body know how we want it to be on those fundamental muscle memory levels. Combining body work with emotional work, because it's all the same thing anyway, right? As an example, me, myself, particularly, I'm feeling tension right here. And the way that this works is it connects in right behind the ear, and it comes down and it hooks into the rib cage under behind the collarbone here. What's happening is it's almost like when I stretch this way, I feel my shoulder and my rib cage trying to lift up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that stretch somewhat in there, not like a full stretch to where I can feel it, but to where there's a little bit of tension. I'm going to take a big, deep breath, trying to feel the expansion of the breath, feeling everything moving here. And on the exhale, I'm going to dissolve this all out like I'm trying to drop the heaviness right out of my body into the gravity of the earth, feeling it pull out. And I'm going to turn up that exhale, keeping that relaxation longer and longer and longer. Oh yeah, that was good stuff right there. And now, all that extra room there. Same thing, now that I've got this side to let go, I feel this side's a little bit tight because it doesn't feel like this side now. Always play the mirror. See what goes. If you do one to one side, try it to the other side. As I stretch right here, I can definitely feel it. It's more towards the back side here. So it's more along the lines of the muscles that come down the back side right there and then turn into the muscles that are on either side of the spine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch somewhat down right there. And I feel this really good right here in this spot in between the shoulder and the neck. I'm just going to simply inhale that smile into it. And I'm going to turn up that volume dial of the Velcro release, of turning that glue into liquid, and see already it's melting. My head's dropping further into the stretch. Still hasn't let go yet. I'm going to do 2 or 3 more. See, now I can just grab this stretch. It's almost like the muscle's not even trying to hold on to it anymore. Feels way better. And then with that, with the muscles letting go and the shoulders and the neck, you can take a big deep breath into it and feel that tingling awareness a lot stronger. Start just moving the body around, feeling the chest, stretching the arms. Just get a good feel for the places that are holding on. Let's create a very clean place of relaxation, of stillness here. Now, the reason that we're doing this is because even if we have latent trauma underneath the surface, if we have programs that we don't enjoy, almost 100% of the time they're locked in the muscle memory. And so simply just by telling the muscle memory that you want relaxation, as you start to de-trigger those programs, you start to de-trigger those traumas and emotions that are in the body. And even without cleaning them out, you can create a very powerful space of stillness. A very clean place of body autonomy and awareness. From this space, we can do incredible work. Because as soon as the body lets go, as soon as the body feels good, there's no reason for being worked up. Stay in the body, pulling that smile in deep with each tingling inhale. Exhaling and releasing any tension, any places that you're feeling it holding on to. Almost like the earth is pulling out heavy stuck things right out of you. Let it slide right out of you. Very good. Very good, everybody. Now we're going to stretch one last little bit here. We're going to really turn up the work that we just did before we move into the next phase. What I want you to do is inhale and stretch your entire body open, almost like you're flexing your arms and your legs as you inhale and then completely let go. Really hijacking the processes in the body. Deep breath in, tightening it all. Exhale, consciously dissolve any tension, any Velcro. Very good. Just roll the body around, feeling all the extra space, the lubrication, the softness. What we've done is we've opened up flow inside of the body because blood is synonymous with qi and qi is synonymous with blood. And if we have tight muscles that don't allow clean qi flow, what we end up with is a blockage, a constriction that then we have to clean out energetically. And if we can clean this all out just by telling the muscles to let go beforehand, that opens up the doorway to start finding those places that are holding on, that are connected into people, to places, to things, events, and timelines. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to start to use this gentle smile feeling that we've been moving into the tingling. And we're going to start to turn this up and use it as an actual detection device. And so what I want you to do, put a gentle smile on your face. And as you inhale, follow that skin, muscle, bone awareness through the nose and the sinuses, down through the windpipe and all the way into the lungs. And turn that up. Start to feel the actual flow, the river of breath, moving into the body. Once you feel that sensation is strong, almost like you've mapped out the river of the breath all the way into the lungs, actively start pulling that smile, that feeling on the face. That is the symptom of the happiness, the energy of joy, and pull that into the lungs. Now we're going to start moving this through the entire body, almost like you're taking that feeling of the wind inside of the lungs and you're moving it on a tingling flow all the way into the hands and all the way into the feet. Very similar to the sensations as if your entire body was a lung. Just like you can feel that wind moving inside of the chest. Once you get to the bottom of the lungs, inhale and pull that tingling smile into the hands and into the feet, and on the exhale, dissolve the Velcro. Connected into much more than just muscles. Connected into much, much more than just muscles. Just like you were with the breath, finding the tension inside of the body, use that awareness and start dissolving the Velcro after you're moving the tingling smile through it. And any places that don't let go, any places that don't move, dissolve that Velcro. Drop the weight out of the body. All these things, there you go. Everybody's doing excellent. You guys are a really clean, coherent group right here. This is really fun to watch. So those feelings of density that you're slipping out of the body right now, this is what I call the stinky cheese effect. If we have a plate of stinky cheese inside of a room and we've got all the windows and all the doors closed, that stink is going to fill up inside of there. And if we open the windows, if we open the doors, suddenly it's not going to stink. The airflow is going to go through and it's going to be a lot more manageable. And what you're doing right now, those heavy places that you're dropping out, that's the stink. What we're doing is we're finding our way back to where it's coming from, where the stinky cheese is. And these are always hard emotions, stuck feelings, points of trauma. And what we're doing right now is we're lifting the vibration. We're cleaning out that stink. And then there's more room for a cleaner sensation, a cleaner feeling. That's what we're going to turn up. Use each time that you feel that drop out, that heaviness slide out of the body. There's an open space. There's emptiness there. Inhale that tingling smile right into that emptiness and see how much stronger you get. Using each exhale to release just a little bit more. To inhale a little bit stronger. Start to turn this up. Make this incredibly powerful. Make this laughter start to echo through the body, feeling that warm softness of the smile energy is starting to lick through the body, finding anything hard, anything uncomfortable, anything not soft, not smiling. And release it. And turn up what you do want. This feeling of joy, this feeling of that smile being completely real and not having to fake it. And now as you inhale this wind all the way through the body, a big breath of that warm, gentle, smiling tingle, I want you to pay attention for where this responds very strongly. Not where it's blocked, not where it's stuck. You might be having some of those things pop up right now, and that's okay. We don't want to give them attention and focus. We want to give them awareness. We want to know where they're at so that we can come back to them. But right now, what we want to give focus to is where it feels good. What feels strong? What feels clean? Start to inhale into that space, not through the entire body, but inhale that tingling wind right into that point. And on the exhale, I want you to bloom it open, almost like it's a flower. So say, for instance, this bubble, this ball that feels really clean with that smile energy. You're going to inhale into it like you're filling it with liquid, and then you're going to bud it open at the top and bloom it down and around the sides, just like a flower opening. And if you look, this is a toroidal field. It's the blooming open sensation that comes down and around, and then we bring it back to center to bring it back and down and around. And the toroidal field is hard to create inside of the body, but everybody knows what a flower blooming is. It's much easier to tune into. Blossom open that smile energy. Feel it get stronger. And what you're looking for is that gentle fluttering, almost like the muscle memory is releasing, and as it's doing it, it's gently stutter stepping its way, almost like a butterfly flapping wings. That sensation right there, that's our key, that's our gateway. Inhale into that and turn that smiling tingle energy up so loud that it starts to vibrate back and forth and becomes stronger and more intense until it starts to echo into laughter. The actual sound and the feeling of laughter vibrating inside of the tingling wind. And turn this up. Anything that does not let you do this, inhale into it and say, no, this is what I want. And blossom it open. Release anything stuck, anything hard around this, dissolving it right into the earth below you. Turn it up. Right here, this is where we start using this to detect what inside of your body is not laughing. It's a lot easier to feel than just a gentle warmth. There's an actual feeling of laughter, an echoing sensation. Find the places inside of you, or one place, where it's refusing to laugh, what's getting sore, what's getting tight. And I often find these on the front of the spine, and it could be anywhere from the back of the skull right here, all the way down to the front of the tailbone. But more often than not, it's not something that you're going to find like in an arm or a leg or on the back side of the body. Usually it's deep inside the core, close to organs, close to the spine. As soon as you find these places, what I want you to do is immediately start to spin your inhalation. And this is what I call the smile tornado. And when we inhale this, I want you to tune into when you pull the bathtub plug, that swirling cyclonic liquid flow. That right there, just like how it's wide up top and then it's spinning and it gets sharper and more intense down to the bottom until it's a little tiny needle. That's exactly what you're going to create. And as you inhale, spin that smile energy and put the sharp end right on the space that's not laughing. That's hard, that's heavy. And as you inhale into it, push in, drill into it like you're popping into a piece of steel. And then use that exhale to bloom that piece of steel open like it's a metal flower. And turn up those sensations. Inhale even deeper inside of what refuses to laugh, what refuses to feel good. And on the exhale, force that sensation of blossoming, like you're moving the very center of it into the outside. And feel that heaviness drop out of the body, almost like the earth is sucking it out of you. And if you can, feel the gravity of the sun up above you. Feel how it's a lot stronger than the earth by a space of about 1,000-fold. It's locking the earth into orbit around it. If that isn't a strong field, I don't know what is. Release upwards as well. Really start to turn these sensations up. And if you find that you've inhaled into a space and it's not feeling tight or stuck anymore, what you're probably going to notice is that there's another place drawing your attention. Do the exact same thing and start following your way back. The body works in the order of highest priority, meaning if you have 20 things that you need to address, the most intense, the one that has the most dysfunction, that's the squeakiest wheel. That's the one that your focus is drawn to. And as soon as you take care of that, then there's another squeaky wheel. Just work your way backwards. We're not trying to clean out any types of trauma or timeline flow right now. So if there's any imagery coming up, just let it go. It's all about the feeling right now. Right now, we're creating positive sensations, clean flow. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start integrating the light. The light is technically the easiest energy to create inside of the body. And if we don't have the body flow, if we don't have the emotional flow, then the light can only do so much. But if we have body connection, if we have emotional connection, we can use that to ignite the light and make it much stronger. And so on the exhale, as you blossom open these spaces, turn them into little tiny suns that are echoing the laughter, that are echoing the light. Feel that tingling and that laughter explode into fuel for sunlight. Brilliant, golden, white, intense, powerful. And if you can't see the light, feel it happen, which is exactly what everybody who can see it needs to do as well. So let's do a bit of a demonstration. Just feel yourself standing out in a hot summer day with the sun beating down on your head. See its intensity behind your closed eyes as you look up towards it. And simply inhale that heat, inhale that radiance, and replicate it. There we go. Very good. Turn this up. And as you exhale and start creating light inside your body, start trying to use it to inhale as well, turning that brilliant smile tornado into a brilliant golden smile tornado. Feel that laughter, feel that light echoing, transmuting, cleansing, cleaning. Powerful. And again, we want to be gentle. We want to have a light touch. So if you're finding that you're weightlifting right now, you're trying to force it, what I want you to do is ever so gently let go of that clench in the tummy. And inside of that stillness, take a big tingling wave of energy, light, and laughter. Ever so gently bring your hands, your internal hands, right on top of where it's not letting go. Then slowly inhale into it, nice and gentle. Blossom it open, gently releasing, gently letting go. This right here, this is our base. What I want everybody to do, let's go ahead and just gently relax. holding on to this feeling, but not turning it up anymore, bringing your awareness back into a normal brain-based pattern, bringing your breathing back, moving your fingers, wiggling the toes. Just feel how the body is experiencing itself right now. It's almost like as we bring ourselves back into the brain, we're used to operating from here, but there's so much more input coming from the body right now. Gently move your neck, move the shoulders, getting some stretching going. Just feel how the body is responding to these simple intentions, these simple languages. Inside of that stillness, this is where we're going to start to work. Let's go ahead and start opening up the central channel of the body. Not just one energy center, but all of them. In the central channel, it runs from the crown, right at the center of the top of the head, right down through the third eye, through the throat, the heart space, the solar plexus, the sacrum, and the root, right out the perineum, which is the spot in between the anus and the genitals. And it's a complete rod. It doesn't deviate. It doesn't switch or move in any direction. It's a flow from top to bottom. And the way that you open this up is simply inhaling from the perineum, almost like you've got a smiling mouth near your root area. As funny as that sounds, don't think about it. And inhale the smiling energy, this golden tornado, right up through the center into the top of the head. And as you exhale, blossom the top of the head open like a flower and bloom it down and around the sides. Let me stop my video real quick here. Oh, no, nobody else has a camera on right now, so that you won't see the picture that I've got going. If somebody actually could turn their camera on really quick so that we could get a quick example of, and I turn my video off here. Okay. So I don't know if you guys can see this right now, but if you are looking at this, you're going to see that central channel flow. There is a connection inside of that central channel that goes from the core all the way out the top of the head. That's the pathway that you want to use right there. The 3 Dantian energy centers, one in the head, one in the heart, and one in the lower abdomen. You pass right through these energy centers as you do this. And on the exhale, blossom open the auric field down and around the sides, all the way into the feet level. And as you inhale back into the central channel, blossom it back open and out. Very good. Now this space right here, this bubble, this tingling field that you're creating around you, it's not just inside the body, this is outside the body as well. And so as we start to take our in-breath, take it outside. Ayla Nario has some beautiful songs, and one of my favorite ones she calls In-Breath Outside. That's exactly what we're doing right here. Inhale that light, inhale that laughter, and as you inhale it, feel it expand your field, like you're blowing up a balloon. This is gonna get fun. You guys are getting so bright right now. Whew. All right, what I want everybody to do is place your hands right in front of you. We're going to use this internet, this connection that we've got going right here to tune directly into the soul energy, bypassing all electronics. What we're going to do is inhale into our hands, inhale into the field, and feel the group in a circle. And you're standing in it. We're going to point right towards the center. Begin inhaling into the palms. Big breaths full of light and laughter. Exhale, bloom the palms open and push right towards the center of the group. Seeing all of our individual energies coming together for a higher purpose, a higher connection, full of the highest vibrations of light, of joy, of excitement. And inside of that space, pull your hands back and open like we're stretching that bubble around us. All individual points creating a field that we're stepping in as one. Gently reach your hand to the left, reach your hand to the right, and grasp the hand of the person next to you. And inhale into your hand, pulling the purest tones of laughter, of light that you can. And on the exhale, raise the group field, just like you in-breath outside. Do this for the entire group. Now we're going to crystallize this field, feeling beautiful, crystalline, glassy energy starting to grow, almost like frost, building on the outside of this bubble, this field that we're all inside of. Feeling it growing, connecting, all the pieces becoming hard, clear, and smooth on the outside of our shield, our bubble, our resonance magnification, and drop that outside inside, feeling that outer shell almost like we're inside of a light bulb starting to crystallize as we become a full crystal ball, resonating laughter, resonating joy. And turn the frequency of light up. Feel yourself shining, resonating, and feeling this group container expanding, magnifying, reflecting, rebounding, becoming much, much brighter. Recognize right now we are not in physical bodies. We are not in the earth right now. We are in a space that is purely energetic. A space that physicality doesn't exist. And inside of this space, begin to inhale into your body. Exhale and start to dissolve the flesh. Feeling your body dropping back down to the earth as you stay here in this timeless soul space. Look around. Look at the brilliant flames of life that we're surrounded by, that we are. And inside of this space, we don't bring any of the baggage of the physical world, the programs, the connections. Inside of this space, we tap into divine, pure potential. Now start to turn this up. Feel that laughter, that joy starting to echo through. Feeling how in this space it holds a much, much stronger resonance. Now from this space, I want you to feel your body way down below, almost like you're a giant and there's a little tiny pinprick in between your feet. This is you. This is your physical body. And recognize how vast you truly are compared to this tiny temple. Start to inhale your awareness down to you. Study yourself. Almost like you're trying to lift yourself up in giant hands. Feel what's heavy. Feel what's holding on. Everything connected in on that physical level. And observe it from the outside. See the places where you're hurting, or you're holding on to the past. See the energy as you're bouncing back and forth between you and other people that aren't clean. Just by simply seeing this from the outside, it gives us such a clean perspective, a cleaner understanding. What we're going to do is we're going to reach down, almost like we're stepping back into our bodies, but instead of stepping down, we're going to lift them up. Almost like you're stretching out a suit to put it on over the soul. Feel how the resonance drops. Feel how suddenly it's not so clean, it's not so bright, it's not lifting up. And we're going to inhale into the light, into the laughter, and lift ourselves up, paying attention to where the places are dragging down, connected to people with nasty energies that we're bouncing back and forth, connected to events, points of the past that we're carrying around with us that echo trauma and damage, connected into timelines of potentials and possibilities that never existed or that were never supposed to. With this simple understanding that we started off with, of how much we enjoy what is coming, what we know is happening with humanity, with us. And then that recognition of all those things that pop up that hold us back. From this simple place, make the decision. Either A, I want to hold on to this density, or B, it doesn't serve me anymore. I've learned everything from it. Start to inhale into that laughter, turning that light up, stretching the skin suit, feeling all of those dense places knocking loose inside of the muscles, the bones, the skin. Exhale and feel the sun pulling out the top of the head. Feel the earth going right down into the star of Gaia, pulling right down from the bottom of the root and the feet. Now that we have this space of cleanliness, you're going to start inhaling smile tornadoes into the world at large around you. Feel how much lighter everything is when we release this, but how there's still things on the outside. Those people, those places, those events, those timelines. Inhale directly into your core, lighting yourself up like a brilliant sun. And on the exhale, push out brilliant smile tornadoes in every direction, dissolving any density that you're connected into, pushing back to right where it came from, lighting it up. And just like you release the weight out of you from the top and the bottom, release the weight out of you, the people these are connected into, the events these are connected into, the timelines, as well as everything in between you and what you're connected into. Oh, beautiful. That right there, turn that up. Stronger and more intense. Start bringing in the imagery of the people. See them in front of you. Feel where they drag down. And inhale from the point where it hooks into you, opening up a smile tornado that blows through that whole entire connection right back into them. Almost like brilliant golden wind that pushes them out of your field until you can't feel them anymore. And now let's bring in loved ones into this. Because it's not just important to clean out these dense connections with people that we don't enjoy. It's even more important to clean out these dense connections with people that we do enjoy, that we love. I want you to see your family, your friends, everybody standing around you, and see how they lift you up. there's also places that aren't moving correctly. Do the exact same thing. Inhale directly into you and shockwave out millions of these smile tornadoes, top, bottom, left, right, front, and back, all 360 degrees, and claim your space. Take responsibility for it. This is mine. I might not have known that I could clean this out beforehand, but it's still mine, and I'm responsible for cleaning it out now that I know. You feel how your friends, your family, as you release that density in between you two, you start to rise. You get cleaner. Things get stronger. Sensations become more intense. And just like with people that we don't enjoy, these people don't belong in our field either, because what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. Exhale and start pushing that brilliant smile wind until everybody drops off the edge of your field and you're sovereign. We can consciously connect into anything we want, but it's the unconscious connections where the programs lie. Start pulling up events. The car accident that you never recovered from. That incredible psychological, emotional, and physical trauma that happened in the past. Anything that you can think of and it brings a feeling of sadness or anger, shame, guilt, whatever it might be, bring up those events. Look at the movies play in front of you. Turn up that nasty feeling. Find where it's clogged up inside of you. Find where that place isn't allowing you to move freely in the way that you know you're supposed to. Begin to inhale into that point. On the exhale, use that blossoming to flood the entire movie with laughter. Feeling the light, like the corners, the shadows are dark, and there's only the characters in this movie. Feel everything getting bright, lighting up. And start moving innocent child laughter through this. Some of the hardest things out there, the worst things that we can go through in a physical world that we carry with us. The innocence of children's laughter is one of the most powerful things in the world that can undo that. And as soon as you feel that release, push this out of your field. I no longer need to carry this. I've learned everything that I could. Even if that learning wasn't what we like, we definitely learn. Start pulling up anything else that you feel like you have a connection to. Even if you can't quantify it logically with your mind, tune into where the sensation of those connections are. You just cleaned out a bunch. As soon as you feel another one, it should be obvious now. Let's really start tapping into clearing our field of people, places, events, timelines, agendas, energies, anything that is not of free will, sovereignty, of natural, organic evolution. Mm-hmm. All right. Now this is going to be an interesting sensation, especially since we're in a group container right now. But what we're going to do is the what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. So when you inhale, even if it's 10 billion miles away from you, you know what you feel like. Pull everything into the center. What's mine is mine. Reverse that feeling, push out everything that's not you. What's yours is yours. What's mine is mine. What's yours is yours. What's mine is mine. What's yours is yours. And feel how this leaves a space of cleanliness, of open solidity. This space right here, this stillness. What we're going to do is we're going to tune into the actual planetary movement itself. So what I want everybody to do is take a big, deep breath in and start to grow, feeling your physical body expanding like a balloon until you're 30 feet tall. Just stay in this perspective and feel what it's like to be inside of such a massive body. See how you can look down at the top of your head, how you're eye level with most roofs. Feel how there's a bunch of empty space inside of you. Inhale and start to fill this up. Fill it with laughter. Fill it with joy. Turn that light up. As soon as you feel like you've got that balance back and you're not empty anymore, begin to inhale into your body and grow even bigger. Let's go a mile tall this time. As soon as you feel like you can grow, size is no issue. It's all about the focus. Feel yourself stretching to the point to where your head is inside of the clouds. Looking down at that patchwork earth below you. So organized. So beautiful. Feel all that empty space inside yourself. Begin to turn this up as you fill these sensations with laughter, with light, with joy. That right there. All right, we're gonna jump larger than the earth now. Inhale into your body and feel yourself getting so big that you can see the earth in front of you like a little basketball, beach ball. Now what I want you to do is look at the earth in front of you. This brilliant green, blue, and white, brown orb. And recognize that from our perspective, it looks like it is floating here in the middle of nowhere. What I want you to do is tune into the gravity of the sun that we were using earlier. And feel how it locks the earth into the orbit. There's literally a tether that you can't separate. And what's happening right now is that the planet is at a point to where it's at the farthest from the sun before it comes back, or the closest to the sun before it starts moving away again. And right here in this space, it's almost like the edge of an ellipse. It's almost like we're coming up and we're right there, right before we start coming back. That's where we are today. Try to tune into that feeling. It's almost like a neutrality. It's like something got thrown way up high in the air, and right before it starts heading back down, there's a space of weightlessness. No movement. There we are. Inhale into that feeling. You know, I swear humanity has no idea how actually powerful it truly is. I I wish you guys could see this from my perspective right now. I know there's a few of you who are. I feel you there too. Now from this zero space, grow your body until your head is surrounding the entire sun, and the sun is an energy point, the third eye. Feel you, all of your light, becoming your massive heart space, as the earth becomes your lower dantian, the sacral chakra below the belly button. And extend yourself into this massive galactic connection, folding your legs under you in the lotus, feeling your arms gently rest on your knees. Feel the vibration, the hum of the universe as it echoes through the stillness. The deep Om of creation. Inside of this space, I want you to feel yourself grow older, not larger, but older. Feeling 1 year go by, then 2, then 5, then 15, all the way to a full 100 years into the future. Never minding that your body's still under the assumption that it has to grow old and die. Just feel yourself grow. Feel your wisdom expanding, your light becoming so much more radiant. From this ancient future space, look around at the world around you in that space, in that time. Look at the children being born, the pure knowledge. Look at the societies and the communities being built, all around contributionism, around working towards a common goal of building the next 7 generations of humanity better than the one before. Feel this majesty of what we are moving into in this ancient future galactic perspective, transcending time, transcending space, transcending your own limitations to connect right into what is and what will be. Ever so gently, locking in on this perspective, pull this back as you feel yourself getting younger, pulling this energy back through time into right here, right now. Feeling the sun inside of your head exploding into activity. Feeling the earth in your lower abdomen rumbling as it shifts, as it starts to activate, as it turns on. Feel you in the heart space, in the center of this galactic body, connected above to the sun, below to the earth, as it flows through you and we turn into pure galactic conduit. Effortless flow from source to earth. Effortless flow from earth to source. From this space, we're going to tune into creation. There's 2 parts to this. There's that male expansion, that male exploration. But what we're looking for right now is that female creation, that nurturing mother, which, don't get me wrong, you don't want to mess with the mama bear. It's got nothing to do with warfare type of energy right here. It's got everything to do with what is possible and the levels of love that can be tapped into inside of this divine feminine connection. This is what we're going after right now. The simple fact of this is, if you didn't deserve to exist, you would not be here right now. And because you exist means that you have unlimited access to the Creator's love, to divine potential. And we can do very, very powerful works in our lives, in our realities. But love is the game changer. What we're going to do here, tuning into this field that we're in, this galactic ancient wisdom, as well as from our physical bodies, is begin to tune into the feeling behind the words, I love you so much. Feel those words echoing through the mind, tuning into the energy that is starting to be created, that urge that bubbles up that would make you even want to say that. As we inhale, turn that up. Feel that light from the inside, that love from the inside, echoing out. Melding with that love coming from the outside, that brilliance, that majesty, where you came from. We're going to turn this up as high and as loud as we can access inside of this massive galactic body. Earth below, sun above, us right in that heart space. Feel that laughter. Feel that love pulling through the smile. Feel that light of the sun getting more intense as the light of the earth reflects back. Stronger, more powerful. Push, push, push. Ever so gently, we're going to start falling back into our bodies. Feeling the group energy, this crystalline facet that we're inside of, detaching your slice as you fall back into the body, and don't let any of this intensity release. Bring it all back right into the physicality. As you fall deeper back into the body, feel the bones moving as the base, the foundation. Feel the muscles shifting everything back and forth. The skin encapsulating everything inside of the temple. And yet still feeling that direct connection to this galactic awareness. And inside of this galactic awareness, inside of our bodies, inside of this time, inside of this space, I want you to inhale into a timeline of love, into a timeline of peace, of prosperity, of abundance, of wisdom, of majesty. We know what that feels like. We felt it without limitation. Now, right here, inside of this place, inside of this density, open up that door. Feel yourself slide into it. When I open up timeline potentials, what they feel like to me is almost like a point A to point B, a movement, like a tube with liquid moving through it. What I want you to do is simply put where you want to be downhill and feel yourself starting to slide into it. And turn that feeling up until you're there. Wow. Oh, wow. I don't think you guys understand what you just opened right now. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, for the guy who usually has words, I'm having a really hard time getting my mind around this, getting my feeling around this right now. Okay, let me, before I try to explain what's going on, let's just go in and let's find our space of sovereignty. Feel how we're still connected into the group. There's still that crystalline field that we created, even though we're individual right now. And what we want to do is we want to thank everybody in the group who's participating live, who's participating in the future, even though it's all right now. I honor you. I thank you so much for helping me get higher into a space to where I could achieve more. And I'm honored that you guys would choose me to help you do the same. What's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. Feel yourself splinter off back into your oneness, back into your sovereignty. And as we do this, feel how we create a grid. There's more light. There's more spaces of intensity around the planet, around the globe, and we're all shining from these spaces, and our light is interlapping. There's a lot that... So there were full-blown racial timelines that was just cleaned out right now. There's a lot of effort that's going in right now to put contention into different racial groups on the planet. And I'm having a really hard time even translating this. Some of the core racial wounds that have been caused on purpose, you know, white and black people is the biggest one here in America right now, but this isn't just here in America. We've got all kinds of different things in the Asian cultures. We've got it in the European cultures, the Australian cultures, the Russians, you know, everything that is programmed on these levels has a certain aspect of racial tension. And one of the things that just opened up, one of the biggest things that just opened up from this today is one of the biggest purges that I feel. And it's not actually happening right now. I feel this in the future, but the doorway has been opened today. And it was specifically because of everything that you all did here right now. And wow, I have no words for this. The potential that we are going to be seeing opening up right now, we're probably going to be seeing a lot of pressure trying to get these racial energies to flare up and start to get more intense. And what we're going to be watching is just like if any of you have ever gone through cleaning out timelines or connections with other people with me one-on-one, what I do is when we're done, I'll have you go into that situation and see if you can get the rise of the emotion. And it's almost like what happens is there's a vehicle that it turns on, but there's nothing driving it. And it's so simple to get into that driver's seat and point it in the direction that you want to go. And that's what this feels like right now. This is absolutely enormous, everybody. Absolutely enormous. And I am so honored to be here right now to just even be a part of this. And I really kind of want to point out that, yes, I am the focal point for this. I was the one who kind of brought this together. This was all you. This was all you guys. And I'm honored to be here to be a focal point on that level. And the amount of releases that I feel coming, like, whew. Wow, you guys did amazing. Like that was so beautiful. That was so intense. Like, gosh, I've got to get somebody else on here to talk besides me. Like, what do you guys feel? Unmute yourselves, you know, like what's going on right now? What are you noticing with this flow? What is happening? Here, I guess I'm going to have to call volunteers, huh? Hey, Dawn, guess what? I'm unmuting you right now.
Oh, no. Hey, Eric.
How are you doing, Dawn?
I'm doing okay. I went and swam with dolphins this month, and one of the people I swam with had a serious injury. So I'm on the East Coast supporting this woman that had surgery, and she's here along with a friend, and we're all doing this together. And how am I feeling? Well, this was really deep work, and it was deep enough that I actually lost consciousness for a few minutes here and there while we were doing it, which I know it's just that my higher self is really busy. And I actually can feel new energies happening in my crown. It's like, you know, I thought it was pretty activated, but obviously not, because I now have new centers there working.
Yeah, I can completely and totally agree. You have going on around your field. So specifically when we were in that galactic space and starting to blossom open, that's when that started, wasn't it?
Yes.
So what you did right there is you actively opened up connections into galactic consciousness. And so one of the reasons that I'm able to tap into so many different things and just kind of translate them right then and there is because I have those connections open. And specifically what they feel like are the top sides of the head right here. Now, normally we have the central channel that a lot of the things happen, but it's almost like we end up having the right and the left hemisphere starting to activate. And then we can bring that into balance. It's almost like the corpus callosum, the split down the middle. It starts to dissolve energetically. And so then we can have a much cleaner opening into the third eye and the pineal and the pituitary inside that central channel right there, as well as opening up those the wings, you know, the wings that come out to the side that start connecting into things that are much, much higher there on those levels. And right now what I'm feeling, that crystalline energy, that was really a key for you to start opening that up. It's like you had connections on a galactic level beforehand, but it's almost like you reinforce those conduits right now. So that was really, really some good work that you did. One of the other things that I'm feeling is the dolphins are here too. Not just the ones that swim in our waters, but the ones that actually swim inside of the ethers and the energy right now. And I've been seeing these guys a lot more. Like I think it was actually you who clued me in on these guys 6 or 7 months ago. And ever since I've been looking inside of the plasma of the sun, I've been seeing them getting closer and closer and closer to the Earth. It's almost like they're using that expanded field to get closer. And what they're doing is they're using like the echolocation, like that sonar, to pinpoint places where light needs to go. And they're triangulating from multiple directions. And they're actively cleaning out a whole bunch of the blockages on the outside of our planet right now. And you've got like 4 or 5 of them around you right now. Do you feel them behind you?
Oh, yes. And the women that are here with me are all part of my dolphin pod.
Oh, that is so cool.
I work actively with dolphins all the time. And the dolphins have a specific commitment to humanity. They have a plan, a 200-year plan, actually. So it's not short. And pretty much anyone can choose to go on that journey, just like with you on this one. And once you do, you have a partnership. And that's what all 3 of us have. So, yes. And yes, I remember introducing you to your golden dolphin. And it's really wonderful to have them here today because they bring in very specific frequencies. And they're really masters of frequency.
Yes. Yes. I have learned so much from them. That's actually one of the things that we're going to be going through in the frequency exploration class is frequencies, like the sound frequency. And when you can triangulate, like I was talking about, so say for instance that we've got a dolphin. They don't just, when they speak, it just doesn't surround out around them. Like when I'm talking, the sound vibration, it goes out 360 degrees. What they can do is it's almost like they can direct it like laser beams. And so then they'll get like, 150, 200 of these things surrounding one point, and then they'll all shoot a laser beam of frequency all at that one point. And it reminds me of what the Chinese are trying to do right now with fusion reactors. They're trying to actually make stars. And what they do is they take these intense high-level lasers that it could burn like honestly like right through the Earth if it had enough energy to go through. And what they're doing is they're putting this all in one burst in the side of a nanosecond on one tiny filament of I forget what the construct is, what material it is, but they're hitting that and it's creating such an extreme temperatures that it's creating a miniature black hole that is exploding into a sun. And then they could get the energy from that for about maybe 0.002 milliseconds and it takes a lot more energy to build it up than it is right now to get the energy back out of it. But they're really starting to fine tune this right there. And that's exactly what that feels like to me. It's almost like they have all these high level lasers coming in from multiple directions. And then they hit that one spot and it fusions. It turns into an extreme point of light. And from that extreme point of light, it's almost like they're rooting deeper into the darkness. And the way that they remind me of how they work is it's almost like if the Earth was a piece of ice and then we shot a cannonball at it It's like they're trying to find their way through the cracks. And they get deeper and they get closer, and they're actually here on the planet now. It's not easy for them to be here. There has to be a lot of light, like specifically like you three made, for them to really kind of step into the physical density of the planet right now. But there's a bunch of people doing it, you know, and these guys are really interesting. I'm really interested to see where we end up going with all of this, with those guys in particular.
We have one more thing to add here, you know, from our little group that ended up forming here in Rhode Island. Since we just got back from Bimini, we found an unusual conch while we were swimming on a completely native island that has no, has never been occupied by man or anything. And this particular conch is just unusual and different. He doesn't have the video on. Oh. And it actually, there's a being, a consciousness that's rooted into this conch that actually spoke out loud and asked to come back with us. And he said his name is Solomon. So Solomon is also here with us as
very
a
interesting
representative of the Bimini. Well, I don't know if he wants it on. Do you want the video on?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
All right. Sure. Let me see. Hold on. Oops, shoot. Oh dear, this may take me a minute. I've hit a wrong button. I know you're still there, but I lost you. So anyway, you know, Atlantis is supposed to be rising from that area. So this whole energy is very interesting that we brought in and worked with you today on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, these types of things right here, like we never really kind of predict the way that the energy is when you start melding different things, because I mean, let's face it, like I don't have all of these frequencies, you know, I'm definitely more well-versed in them than a lot of people, but there's so many other things that people are researching and feeling right now that I've never even had a chance to access. Just like you were talking about with the, ooh, look at that guy.
There is Solomon. I finally, figured out. So this is, what's unusual about this is, it's very much more dark than other conches.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
It's really different. And the natives there call it a green conch, although it's not really green. So this is Solomon, or this is where Solomon connects on this planet.
So it reminds me of like a megaphone. So like as I tune into it, it's not Solomon, that is a shell, but it's like he can speak through it. So let's find out what's going on with this guy here. So I don't want to like say that I'm feeling like the biblical Solomon here with like the ring of wisdom and able to control demons and stuff like that. But
oh, absolutely.
That's the image that's coming through right here. So, so when it comes to these types of things, when we feel these guys right here, we don't want to go into the imagery. What we want to do is go into the feeling behind it. And I just keep on seeing like this smiling man. He's laughing and there's a radiance that's coming from him. He reminds me, it's very Buddha-like. It's almost like that hysterical Buddha laughter. Like he's crying and slapping his legs and like he can't even like talk because it's so funny. Like that's almost the feeling that I'm getting coming from this right here. It's a very interesting energetic connection you've got going there, Don. I'm really excited to see where that ends up. What's that?
Solomon doesn't live with me. He lives with one of the women that came on this on this journey, and it was really a sacred journey, and it did involve swimming with wild dolphins that sought us out specifically to swim with us.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, and Solomon, like I said, we went to visit a coral reef and an uninhabited island, and here was Solomon. So specifically asking to come back. So,
right on.
Anyway, we brought him.
Right on. So on that note right there, Don, what are you connecting into that you want to celebrate for this next quarter as we go through the year?
Well, I want to celebrate unity, community. And I've lived a very monkish life, very much separated from the world because I haven't been able to find people I resonate with in my local community. And all of a sudden I've been slingshot into a community where I'm very much real and three-dimensional, and these people are part of my life, and that's part of what the dolphins work with. That's their flagship word. They tell us we're all working on unity and community, all of humanity. So
I've got chills from head to toe. Oh, that is such beautiful energy to connect into right there. So for Dawn, everybody, what we're going to do is we're just going to hold space for this unity. We're going to feel the communities coming together. We're going to feel all those contention points that can come up with these things just unitize and calm down and everything just come into oneness. And let's hold space right here for Dawn. And for us, for that matter, that helps everybody. Oh, that feels nice right there. Thank you so much, Dawn. This was so fun. Thank you for joining us today.
Love you, Eric.
Love you too. All right, who's next here? We've got, looks like Adrian. I'm gonna unmute Adrian here. Adrian, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I feel a very, very deep, powerful energy, very peaceful energy. It's fantastic. I'm sort of slightly spaced out, so it's what happened earlier was quite deep, but yes, I'm slightly struggling for words.
Yeah, so when we start snapping into these galactic levels, like it's kind of really a shock to the system to recognize that you can expand through the entire universe. And to get to that point to begin with, you know, it's a bit of a tripping moment for people, you know, and in order to get to that space to where you can fill up all that emptiness inside of you, it really does start to blank you out. And especially if you haven't done it before, which is exactly why we have these meditations recorded, that way you can come back to it too. And what you were doing is you were expanding yourself into new levels of your body-brain perception. That way that instead of just, you know, I can feel, you know, something, like there might be something there, it's going to be more along the lines of like, well, there's an actual sensation that I can feel. I can turn it up, I can explore, I can play around with it. And that's because you opened up those galactic levels right there. And again, with the solstice, the way that we're kind of hitting that 0 point to like, it's like a balance and weightlessness before we start heading back. There's a neutral potential right there that you can almost turn on an engine, and as everything starts to go back further and further, it turns on faster and faster and faster. And this is exactly why all the ancients and the indigenous really celebrated these types of dates, because it was in alignment with the magnetic connections of the entire solar system and the way that we interact with it. And so, you know, that deep work right there, it's something that you want to play around with. You want to do this more than just one time. And try to make it an everyday thing. You know, if you can walk down the road and expand yourself out to that galactic level right there, or that solar system level right there, it's really interesting what starts to happen. We see synchronicity, we see coincidence, we see stuff like that happen fairly often around us, especially when we start getting onto this path right here. But when you embody galactic consciousness in your physicality, it's almost like you start to create magic. It's almost like those synchronicities and those things that they just so happen to line up. It's almost just by walking through. It's like you're knocking over a whole field of dominoes that comes in all those synchronicities. They coalesce in front of you as you're walking through them. And especially like that timeline one. Did you feel how when you started tipping that timeline into what you wanted, how it was almost like a sensation of instead of wanting something, it was like you didn't have a choice and you were getting pulled into it, right?
Yeah, I felt like I was pouring into it. It's like a liquid pouring into it, and it was that was good.
Yeah, so that one right there, those two specifically, stepping into that galactic space and then moving your timeline and playing around with that, those are the two that are standing out for you that you're definitely going to want to work on and really cement those in right there. But I mean, you did a really good job today. So one of the things that I'm feeling specifically in you is that your intestines are opening up right now. That lower dantian where you felt the earth like moving and shifting in there, that physically opened up your lower dantian, and that got that really moving. And that's going to start opening up the connections into the brain as well. So you're probably going to have a lot more increased third eye perception, because we create a bunch of serotonin in our gut that our brain actually uses. And it's the same thing energetically. If our intestines are out of alignment, if they don't have energetic flow, then we don't support the brain, and we can't energetically use it the way that we would want to. So I would actually play around with like visualization exercises for the next couple of days too. You know, just kind of see yourself standing on the Great Pyramid and look around and try to feel the detail of it, you know?
I will, thank you.
All right, on. Now, Adrian, what do you want to celebrate today?
Potential. So I feel a calling at the minute to, I don't know, sort of change deep-rooted old belief system that exists in the world. That sounds a bit grand, but I kind of, there's so much light that can be brought in and so much that can be transformed in how people see the world and the spiritual world. I think when I think about it, it drags me down, and I felt a very heavy energy for the first half of this session because I was thinking about it before I joined. the timeline thing helped, and the feeling of the deeper, sort of more expansive energy helped open it up as a possibility. So that's what I'm sort of celebrating, is the change which happened, which opens it up as a possibility.
Very good. So you actually brought something up right here I kind of wish that I hit on earlier. So by tuning into those things that we were tuning into at the beginning, we could feel where we were going. We could feel where things were opening, but we could also feel where things were holding us back. And just by bringing that attention and that awareness and holding space with it, it gets really obvious. And it gets to be to the point to where you have to deal with it. It doesn't really, you don't really have a choice in that matter. You have to look at it and you have to clean it out. And that right there is exactly why we did that. We're not trying to look at these things with judgment. We're not trying to fight them. We're just trying to recognize, like, wow, this really, really holds me back. And that right there, there's no judgment to it. It's just like, you know, if you had a really heavy backpack on, it's like, hey, if I took this off, I could run a lot further, you know, and it's the same type of a thing right there. And that's exactly why we did this in the beginning. We really tuned into things that we don't enjoy. That way, as we went through it, we could obviously feel it letting go. And again, it's a matter of if, not when, or it's a matter of when, not if. You know, you have to just keep on going. And as soon as you get it to shift, it starts shifting and it gets a lot stronger. And this is where a lot of people, you know, they do this 2 or 3 times and they don't get it strong enough. And then they recognize that, like, I'm not really moving anything. I don't feel any different. And they just didn't do it long enough, you know. And what you were tuning into right there, I don't care if it felt like if it was 50,000 times heavier, you could have still taken care of it, you know. And just by recognizing the more that you have it and the more that you're holding on to it, that I really don't enjoy this, the more you start getting ready to let it go anyway. So good stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you. So what we're going to do for Adrian here is we're just going to hold space for potentials, for places where we thought was solidity that we now see potential for light. And what we're going to do is just hold space and see that in our world, in Adrian, in ourselves. Turn it up. Potential. The release of what we thought was, and opening up to the brand new. Organic evolution, that's what that feels like. All right, well, thank you very much, Adrian.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and get you muted here. Looks like we've got Frida next. Can you hear me, Frida?
Yes. Can you hear me? Hi.
Yeah, I can. Hi, how are you doing? How are you feeling today?
Let me remove my camera. Can you see me?
Oh, no, I can't see you.
Okay.
Here, did you want me to see if I could turn on your...
No, that's okay. You can just hear me too. That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Actually, both the 2 people who commented, it applies to me. I work with a community of multicultural, and there is very much of a friction, which I'm part of fixing and bringing balance to it. So that is so timely. So this is perfect. Everything we are doing, I hope it helps. And then also my life is changing. I've lived in Bay Area for 40 years. I feel I need to move on in everything, location, job, home, people, everything. It's just time. I feel it. And I'm looking forward into something new, like whatever that may be. I don't have a picture of it. I haven't planned anything. I'm just expecting the best, whatever that's my highest potential. So both comments, that applies to my life right now. So
beautiful.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, isn't it funny how we find such common ground? And, you know, the body is such like a poker face, you know, like when you look at somebody, you don't ever recognize what is going on underneath the surface. But it's like, as soon as we start talking about things, as soon as we start exploring things, that person might have looked completely different than you. You might not have ever had anything in common in just a physical level, but all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, you're like my soul family. You know, you're doing the exact same I'm here to do, you know, and like, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. It just gets me so excited to see these connections and to see these flows that start moving into the world around us. And, you know, that's what we're doing, is we're stepping up our game, and we're just constantly pushing that bar up higher and higher and higher until we can allow that light to surround us, to surround the environment around us. And when we find other people actively working on stuff like that too, it's just, we have a lot of work to do, but at least it's fun, right?
Absolutely. Do you see anything that I could improve on my own? Have I created my own blocks? Anything that I can work on to clear so makes this a little easier on?
So one of the things that I feel popping up, specifically because you've had your 40 years in the same place, same people, same everything, I'm feeling a lot of hesitancy to move forward right there. There's not like a fear, but it's like a trepidation. Like, I just don't know what's there. I'm confident, but I'm not trying to go out and do that right now.
Yes.
And so that right there, that feeling of the hesitancy. So a really good exercise for that would be to, again, grow yourself into the future, you know, a year and a half, 2 years into the future, and feel after you've gone through all those transitions and then you found your new space, find what that space feels like and then bring that back into now. And use that to start cleaning out that feeling of that hesitancy, because that hesitancy, it's not like a big trauma, like a hammer blow to the head, you know, like anger or fear or anything like that. It's very subtle. It's very soft on, because it's not like a heavy vibration. It's like if we have extreme light vibrations and extreme heavy vibrations, it's like somewhere near the middle. And that right there, it's going to be harder to detect. But when you can tune into the future and then you can come back and you can clean out that hesitancy with that future energy, and then just the timeline thing where you put it into the future, like you're sliding down into it, that makes things a lot easier. That makes it so that not only can you make that transition a lot more gracefully, it makes it so that you don't have to worry about the hitches and the glitches with the emotional component too. So that'll definitely help out right there.
So the future, if I was to like think about future, is more feeling wise, or is it, do I need to picture something?
So it's always more of a feeling thing. So I find that when I look into the future to get imagery, I'm not very accurate at all. Because what I can tune into is potential. And so I might see like 7 or 8 different timelines where, you know, this one has, you know, 5%, 6%, 7%, and this one's like an 80% chance. And so I could look at that one and say, this one's the most probable one to happen. But then, you know, this has a 5% chance, and 5% means that it has a possibility too. And so when I go into these, I always go for the feeling, because I find that the imagery, it can get really distorted, especially the further into the future you go with timeline potentials. But the feeling is always clear. And when you go into that feeling and you start to, you know, what do I feel like inside of my own space after I've transitioned, after I've really, you know, set up my habits inside of my new space and I've lived there for a year, you know, how does that feel? And then you tune into that feeling and then you bring that back into now, and that makes that transition a lot easier.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Now, what did you want to celebrate today, Frida?
Well, I just had a job interview before this session, and it's a new product that's going to do something good for humanity. At least 1 billion people is targeted to do good for them.
Oh, wow.
And I want to celebrate, if I get that position, I want to celebrate my contribution and service to the world. And I'm hoping they'll choose me for whatever it is, just to be part of that group.
So we definitely don't want to put conditions on any of this type of energy right here. We want to go into the feeling. And so regardless of whether or not you get the job, you still feel like you want to help and you want to serve and you want to open up that doorway, correct?
Yes.
So that's what we're going to hold space for, is that right there. And more often than not, when you do these types of things, you align yourself with that anyway. And so we find ourselves getting the job anyway. But we don't want to put conditions on it. It's not like, hey, I want to open this door only if this happens. It's, hey, I want to open this door because it feels good, right?
Exactly.
Alrighty. So let's hold some space for, oh, sorry, what was that?
I want to be part of doing some service to the world, whatever that may be. Whichever.
Yes. So let's see, what would the energy of that feel like? So let's hold space for a forward movement of the evolution of humanity. And no matter what concept or cog in the wheel, in the machine you want to be, it's always for the forward progression, for the advancement. And that's what we want to hold on to right here, is making sure that all the darkness that we see on this world with, you know, just the basic food, water, and shelter, you know, that right there, if we could figure out on how to make that a staple of existence, that right there is massive forward progression. So that's the type of feeling that we want to step into right here. So let's hold space for that forward progression in Frida here. Oh, there's so many happy children in that future.
Oh, nice.
Turn that feeling up. Turn that frequency up. Hold space for Frida. Hold space for humanity. Hold space for yourself. Just such joyous explosions there. Oh my goodness. That is really a clean timeline that you guys are tuning into right there. You might have actually just shifted yourselves into it just by tuning into that right there, because it's the natural progression of where we're headed right now. That was a good one. How does that feel, Frida? What are you noticing there?
It looks really good. And when you were putting us through the meditation, I actually saw a door open and a light come through. So
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, the timeline has opened up. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Thank you.
Everybody, this is such great group work right here. Everybody is doing so awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Frida.
Thank you.
All right, let's get you muted here. Who do we have next? Looks like, oh, hey, Jim. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
Oh, doing well. How are you?
I am definitely, well, I was kind of bummed out because I didn't get to do it out in the woods, but now that I'm looking out the window, I'm kind of glad that I didn't. I don't think I would have been able to hold space inside of that rain and the wind. So it worked out how it's supposed to.
Yeah, you know, I actually had something else going on earlier, so I just joined about around 3 o'clock. So, you know, I'm kind of, you know, I don't know if what I can add to the conversation at this point.
Oh, so right now it's 1:21 my time. So was this 20 minutes ago that you joined?
Yeah.
Okay, that's no problem. So what we're doing right now is pretty much you're going to have to go back through the meditation once I send out the recording. I'm going to try to get that done ASAP today. Go through that, but pretty much what we're doing is we're holding space for a celebration of what we want to see in the world in front of us, what we want to see in our lives in front of us. And you know, what's one thing that you're really working on right now that's going to lead to a bigger goal of an expansion for you?
Yeah, you know, what I've been working on is this, basically what I'm calling a disclosure information document. Right? We've discussed that a little bit before.
Yes.
I'm still working on it. I had to do more internal work as opposed to working on the document. That's what I discovered, and that turned out to be basically, namely, duality and polarity integration. Right. So I had to do a lot more of that kind of work, and you know, I've made some really good progress in that direction, and I was still able to take some notes and so forth that I think are going to make the document that much better. So it wasn't completely stagnant. So what I want to do is I want to, you know, just be able to help my friends and family, and that's probably a couple of dozen people with this document, and help them to wake up a little bit to the reality that most everybody on this call is already really intimately aware of, right? And then from there, hopefully it'll further progress out and can help other people, right? So
definitely. So right now, let's see if we can get a succinct energy around that.
So basically, I think what I want to do is I want to create, with that, I want to help create awareness within people of what's happening, of what has happened, what is happening, and the fact that there is a shift, that we are basically getting rid of these cabal control structures, and we're moving into true independence and ability to basically, yeah, I mean, we're moving into true independence and ability to be authentic, right?
Yes.
And as a result, we are all going to choose to embrace, you know, positive interactions on a whole new level with people, because we'll realize that we've been divided artificially against one another.
Yes.
That's part of the programming, I think, that's going to fall away first. And yeah.
So I've got two things that are going on right here. So what you were talking about, how like you had to go in and do some more self-work in order to expand this document that you're building right here. So what I'm feeling actively going on is it's like as you're trying to encompass disclosure inside of this one space, it's almost like you're recognizing disclosure is much bigger than just what it was on the surface level with that stuff. And it's got a lot more to fill out as you explore yourself. It's almost like you're pulling back the layers of disclosure, not just on the world at large, but on places that you need to work on inside of yourself and step up and clean out and turn into something that is much more powerful instead of a liability. And so I'm feeling like this is, let's see if I can actually get this directly into words. So what we're holding space for Jim for right now is his personal expansion that is opening up the doorway to allow many around him to be able to start understanding the laws of duality, and some of the control systems. And as this happens, what ends up going on is it's like the control systems, just like we did earlier. We brought awareness to it. We brought it with us until we didn't want it anymore, and we let it go. And it's the same type of a feeling that's going on right here. So it's like Jim is consciously evolving himself emotionally, mentally, and energetically, and that's bringing about a completely different perspective that he can then pass on to other people. And, that's kind of the name of the game, isn't it? That's exactly what I did too. I did a whole bunch of research. I did a whole bunch of practical exploration, and I could show you guys how to do this too. Yeah. So all of that right there, let's see if we can get that into something even simpler. It's like we got to find the lowest common denominator here.
Yeah, I like how you're, dissecting and reassembling that. So disclosure evolution. That's what we're holding space for. We are holding space for Jim and his disclosure evolution, because it's not just disclosure for the people around him. This is a way to explore his own internal space. And as he does that, it creates an unveiling of what he's already building. And so he's got very, very clear foundations already, and now he can start adding ornamentation to it, I guess you could say. So we're going to hold space for disclosure evolution for Jim here. So what I want everybody to do is tune into all of those words and what that means, and we're going to put it right into that feeling of disclosure evolution. Can we add one thing?
Yeah, definitely. What's up?
Loving duality integration.
Yeah, that's definitely part of that disclosure evolution, but I think that you're 100% correct. We should probably put a little bit more focus on that as well. Because that's the thing, there's truly no evil or no good energy, but there are evil or good intentions, and that can turn something that's completely neutral into a malevolent force. And that's one of the things that we have to recognize, is that there is no good or bad. It's all duality, that we can step into a unity consciousness, and from that space we can operate in what feels good and what's supposed to be. So disclosure evolution with a concentration on duality transcension. How's that, Jim?
Oh, perfect.
All right. So I feel like I'm trying to talk about one of the degrees I was going to college for. So let's go ahead and start really inhaling into this feeling right here, and really kind of feel the document of disclosure that Jim is trying to create, and see how this is evolving his soul as he creates it, as well as opening up a space of transcending that good and evil. Stepping into a space to where it's like poles on a magnet. You've got a north and a south, day and night, hot and cold. Turn that up right there. Beautiful. How's that feel there, Jim?
Feels fantastic.
That was really interesting. So like, as people start playing around with timelines and stuff, when they unconsciously do things like this, they use the energies that they have familiarity with. And just by simply stepping into this galactic state where we were playing around with timelines and potentials on the planetary level, it's like people are opening up timelines for you right now. There's a lot more potentials that I'm feeling going forward. And that disclosure document that you're working on right there, there's definitely a big sticking point that I'm feeling around that. But the overall understanding underneath it is that the joy, the love, the unconditional service to not just yourself, but other people as well. That right there is the underlying feeling inside of that stickiness right there. So what this feels like is like the timeline's going to bog up against something, like you're going to feel like it's not moving forward very well. And inside of that, what you need to do is ignore the words, ignore the story, and go right into the feeling of what's not allowing you to move forward, and start transmuting that with love. Start transmuting that with service to others, as well as service to yourself. Okay?
Yes, yes, that makes perfect sense. Feels
Awesome.
great. It sounds great.
Awesome.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that was really good. I'm really excited to see what you get out of the meditation. So again, I'm going to try to send that out ASAP later today. Get a hold of me tomorrow or the day after and let me know how that felt for you. Okay?
I will. I will. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, let's get Jim muted here. Kathleen, you are next. Hello, hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Kathleen, can you hear me? Oh, it looks like she muted herself.
Unmute.
Oh, there you are. I can hear you now.
Okay, you can. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I can't wait to get the meditation again because that was such a otherworldly experience for me. And when you came out of the meditation, not being able to articulate what was going on with you, I started bawling. It was just so surreal to me, and it was beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. And as far as the what I want to celebrate is, I mean, everything that everyone has talked about is so meaningful and so much a part of where I am right now. So I don't know, can we take unity, community, forward evolution, possibility and service and all of it and wrap it up into something pretty with a bow?
Of course, why not? You know, the only limitation is what you think that you can do. And do you think you can do it?
Do what?
Put it all together.
Do all of that?
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. If you truly can tap into that one energy, what is saying that you can't tap into that one energy and that energy too? You know, and this is how we start layering things together. And just like when we do like the frequency exploration, I'll show people how to do magnetism and then electricity, and you put them together and it creates electromagnetism. It's nowhere near as powerful by themselves separately, but when you layer them together, there's an explosive resonance that is much, much more powerful, and you can do much more incredible work with it. This is the exact same thing. So we've got unity consciousness, we've got forward progression and evolution potentials, and then we have this this disclosure understanding, like all of that together. What I want you to do is just see yourself sitting in one space and see these things in front of you, almost like you're looking out windows, and just see inside of each one of these windows the happy people, the amazing progression, the understanding, the growth, the evolution. And they all feel slightly different.
I feel like my heart is exploding.
Take a deep breath and pull everything from those windows into one space. Wrap it up all nice and pretty and put a bow on it. That right there. That sensation. Do you feel how it's almost like there's an activation of something you've never felt before in your heart space?
Yes, I do.
Turn that up right there. That's exactly what you're looking for. Everybody, let's hold space for Kathleen as she does this. This is everything that we've been talking about. This is all Kathleen. Let's turn this up. Very good. Wow, how's that feel there, Kathleen?
Oh, that feels amazing. Thank you so much. I honestly feel like I've gone somewhere and come back, and it's amazing. So thank you.
You are so very welcome. Oh, that was so fun right there. What you were connecting into that I couldn't articulate earlier when we got out of the meditation, you're feeling all of those programs and those hatreds and those angers and those, more importantly, the traumas that come from stuff like that, from these racial levels that are going to start to dissolve here, and you're actively feeling them releasing. And it took me a bit to get words around it, but yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I've ever felt happen on this planet. I felt warfare timelines. I felt some of the primordial traumas that really dropped humanity into this dense state. I felt them release. Apparently that had nothing on what we're actually going to be experiencing here over the next couple months. Yeah, that was really intense, and I'm not quite certain what's going to be happening in the future, but I do recognize that the potentials for growth inside of this are astronomically explosive, and they're more than anything I've ever felt before. So yeah, it was hard to put words around. It definitely was.
Yeah, and one of the other things I just wanted to comment, I think, you know, just bringing in the what's yours is yours and what's mine is mine. I think that's a mantra I'm going to have to maintain too.
Yeah.
So that I'm not sucked into that at a level where I become incapacitated. That doesn't serve anyone.
Yeah, that right there is actually something incredibly powerful, especially for empathic people who recognize that person's angry because I'm feeling anger. You know, you can still recognize that person's angry because you feel them being angry, but you don't have to respond on that level because it's affecting you that way. And just simply creating that barrier. And it's not just the words. The words are helpful, but it's the feeling behind the words. You pull everything in. This is mine. Like, this is my bubble right here. And inside of my bubble, I can obviously feel things that aren't mine. So what's yours is yours. See ya. You know, and it's not like a warfare. It's not like you're trying to fight or, you know, give me that back or take your stuff. I don't want it. It's a very gentle, it's a very soft understanding of like, hey, this is my stuff, like right here. And if I have my stuff and I've got your stuff inside of it, then, well, that's yours. It's not supposed to be here. You're supposed to have your stuff. And, you know, it's as simple as that right there.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much, Eric.
You are very welcome. All right, let's get you muted here, Kathleen. Kay, you are next. Can you hear me?
I can.
How are you feeling there, Kay?
Oh, awesome. Wonderful. I'm starting to really feel the gravity and everything happening. So it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Very expansive. Yeah.
Good.
And pull myself up and really realize how heavy it all was really very insightful. Thank you.
And well, you know, that's exactly why we do that right there, is to simply go in and create a space that's very high vibratory without connecting into the other stuff that we're carrying around. Because it's literally something that if you're focusing on that baggage right there, that means that you're holding on to that bag. But if you're not focusing on that baggage, you can put it down and that bag still might be there, but you're not carrying it with you. And then you can go and you can tell your muscles to let go, find that space of stillness, and then really lift into a high vibratory space. Once we're in that and you connect into that bag, it's very, very obvious. It's very clear. It's very right there in your face. Like, yeah, that's really uncomfortable. I don't enjoy that sensation. And that's the whole reason that we do that, because the higher vibrational field that you are when you connect into low vibrational things that are hooked into you, the more obvious they are. And so even if it does drag you down to where you can't feel it, like say, for instance, you tune into a really nasty trauma from the past or something along those lines, and you're in a high vibratory field, and then all of a sudden you tune into it and you feel everything drop, well, you can still lift yourself up inside of it, hooked into it. And even if it's really heavy, just by lifting yourself up a little bit, it'll start giving you an awareness of where it's hooked in and where you need to clean out. And you just follow it through. And as soon as you have awareness of it, you have the ability to shift it. And I don't care how big it is. It might mean that you have more work if it's really ginormous, but the bottom line is it's a matter of when, not if. You just have to be consistent with it. But in order to detect that, you have to get into that high vibratory state to begin with. And that's where most people have the issue. And, you know, that's why I've been really trying to streamline this as much as possible to get people in the quickest amount of time without even having prior experience, which you already had. So it was a lot easier for you to get into. But, you know, people without prior experience on these levels right here, to step into that and to feel that as fast and as soon as possible, it's really going to start changing the planet, because now we have so much awareness, so much understanding, and we can get there quickly. And the more that we do that, and instead of allowing like the physical programs to just run the way that they're supposed to, which is, you know, to cause more contention, to cause more density, instead of that, we go into those physical programs, we clean them out, and we operate that way inside of the physical world around us, even with people who are hostile on the outside. You know, because you can feel it. If somebody's mad at you, if somebody's hostile, if they're angry at you and they're, you know, they're yelling or they're projecting themselves, and pretty much what they're trying to do is they're just trying to make you feel the way that they do. They have so much going on inside of them that they don't like the way that it feels, that it has to explode outward. And if somebody else feels the same way, then they, you know, they got brothers in arms or a comrade to, you know, misery loves company, right? And so if we can, in that moment, and we recognize that people are trying to send those to us that we would have to clean out later eventually anyway, And in that moment, we clean it out as it's happening. It changes the world. You know, suddenly that person doesn't have that barb to stick into you and then have it bounce right back so that they can get that feedback return. Instead, they're just pouring out their anger into something that's transmuting into love. And once they pour out all that anger, there's nothing left inside of there for them to be angry about. And so then you can come back with some joy, some compassion, some excitement. And, you know, the more that we play around with this energetically, the stronger we get physically with it too. And eventually it just, you notice it. And it's up to you and whether or not you allow it to stick. And, you know, sometimes, you know, even when we notice it, and I'll be the first to admit this, I am not perfect. You know, I still have my triggers. I still have stuff that goes on. And every once in a while, when I get like really peeved off, or, you know, I'm kind of contentious with everything, I'll recognize what's happening and I'll just be, oh, I'm doing it anyway, you know, and I'll get kind of stubborn with it too. But it's all about recognizing that even if you do get stubborn with it, you got to clean it. You got to go back. You got to make amends. You got to do whatever you need to make sure that you are not hurting yourself, because that's what this is. It's literally creating poisons that just sit there and they rotate around and they damage and they get bigger and more nasty. And ain't nobody got time for that. You know? So yeah, that's why we're here, you know, and just simply going through these meditations again, I'll send this out later. That way you guys can go through these again and, you know, kind of hit it again and see if it kind of pops up again like that. But when we go through these, but we hit them from multiple angles like we did today, because it wasn't just in one space. We then went to a different space and we cleaned things out from there. And then we went to another space and we cleaned things out from there. And when you go like that, instead of just being in one space and cleaning out this spot right here, which might lead to that spot right there, which might lead to that spot right there, what we do is we just expand and then we clean it all out. And that right there, it gives us a lot more awareness. It gives us a lot more understanding. And then for the future, it's a lot easier to do this type of work because now you have a lot more light that is activated and anchored inside of your body, and you can create more because of it. So.
Yeah. I love, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, I really loved, I felt very natural being connected with the sun and the earth as being one being. That felt very natural. But so it was interesting coming back. So I think that's kind of a crux of my potential. I think I've always been trying to feel that I have some potential that I'm not able to ground. So yeah, that's part of my goal, my timeline, if you like, would be able to have that expansiveness but grounded to fulfill some potential. That would be good.
So grounded expansiveness, centered awareness. That's what you're celebrating right now, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see if we could get a good feeling for this right here. With that galactic space, it's almost like you're expanding around your body. You're feeling the sun is you, the earth is you, but there's still you. There's that space that's you in the center right there. That right there is the center. That's that grounded perspective. Because like when you're just inhaling into your body and you feel that bubble around you, that was like your heart space inside of the galactic understanding. And so when you expanded your body out into that outer expansion, there was a lot more that you could connect into right there. So the feeling of this would be constant galactic heart space. So instead of just being inside of your physical body, you are the heart space connected to the sun, connected to the earth. So that right there, let's hold space for this. Grounded awareness. Wow, that is a very intense energy. Turn that up, everybody. So if you're getting clean sensations from this, I would recommend that you play around with this as well. This isn't just for Kay here. This is for everybody. And there is a vast amount of potential for everybody inside of that awareness. How's that feel there, Kay?
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you. Is there anything else?
No, that's fine.
Awesome. Talk to you here in a bit. Let's get you muted. We've got Kay. All right, Leah, you are next. I'm unmuting you now. Can you hear me?
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm really good.
I'm glad to hear it. And this is like super early in the morning for you right now, isn't it?
It's like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, you and Kay, gosh, you Aussies, like you just, I've got to figure out a spot for you guys later on in the evening that I can start working with you guys. You are troopers. Thank you so much for joining us.
I kind of like it because the rest of the world here is asleep.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got space. So
That
I
actually
like
makes
it.
a lot of sense. And then you could have your beginning of the day and then go interact with everybody else, huh?
Exactly, and then have an afternoon nap because it's Saturday.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Why not, right?
Yeah.
So how are you feeling right now? What's going on with that meditation?
Well, my lungs opened up.
Mm.
I felt oxygen actually moving through my body for the first time in a really long time. It was really incredible. And then I actually felt a really big drag across the right side of my chest and down through my shoulder.
Uh-huh.
And sort of had visions of something not very nice there. And I was like, hey, go away, you know. Yeah, so I don't know. And then I did lose consciousness.
How's that shoulder feel right now?
It's still sore.
Yeah, there's a little bit of density that I'm seeing. You mind if I clean out that lung real quick?
Yeah, sure. Please.
So the lung meridian, it starts in the thumb and it goes all the way up into the lung and it holds on to grief energy. So what I want you to do is inhale into your entire lung with as much smile, joy energy as you can, knowing you're going in there to clean out grief and sadness. I'm going to open up the meridian from the thumb. Let's bend that backwards. There we go. Let's move through and grab that. Yeah, you still got a little hanger on here. See, this is exactly why we do the group things, but we do it separately. That way we don't or pass anything off like this. Because it's really easy to pass stuff off energetically, but this guy was definitely trying to hide. There we go. How's that feel?
Oh, better.
Go ahead and take a big smiling light breath into the lungs. Tell me how that feels now.
Oh, it's opening up more. Good.
So it sounds like you actually had this thing in there for a while. Like that felt really, really embedded into the neural structures of the lungs. The command or the program that I'm feeling coming through this is actually to shut down the alveoli, which is the oxygen absorbers inside of the lungs. And so what it was doing is it's like you had maybe, it was less than 30% of the alveoli in the lungs that were actively moving and shifting right there. Huh. So that is really interesting. I've worked with you a few times now and I've never even seen that before. So it makes me wonder if I'm going to have to go look at people from different galactic levels when I work with them too. Because that's the thing, you start lensing, you start seeing from the perspective that you're at. And like when we went into the galactic perspective, it's like you could open your eyes and see such a completely different level around you. It's the same type of a thing. Like if you anchor in on somebody and then you move your perspective into a different space, it's like you can see everything connected from that space too. And, you know, and stuff like that.
Well,
really
I think I've always known that was there before, but I haven't sort of seen it, but I actually saw it this time.
Well, and that's the thing is just getting you into that galactic level. It's almost like you stretched too much for it to hold on there. And so it was doing damage control and trying to hide and mitigate itself and not even show up. But when you put yourself into an incredibly high vibrational state, it's, you know, it's a heavy thing that can't move up with you. So it becomes obvious. So
yeah, when the group first came together, I actually did pull back for that reason. So I pulled back for a little while and then just sort of tried to clear it out, and it was like just breathe and then sort of came back.
See, and that's energetic hygiene. That's being responsible with your energy, you know, but that's exactly why we create the group energy like that. It's something that's so powerful and so bright that when we do step into it, even if you do have something hiding inside of you, it's not going to be able to pass to somebody else. And then when we do that faceting to where it's like we're creating our own space inside of that, it makes that even stronger too. So you know, it's good on you to even recognize that to begin with. A lot of people don't. You know, and so they'll go and they'll do all these meditations and stuff like that, but they won't clean themselves out beforehand. They won't protect themselves during the middle of it. And that's actually one of the things that I'm trying to make sure that we never have problems with, because it is possible. So,
yeah.
Now, what are you looking at celebrating here in the next quarter as we go into this part of the year?
This just, I don't know if this sounds odd or not, but I love the little bow and packaging it all together. And a layer I've got is to actually release victimhood consciousness. So to open the door to joy.
Okay, so let's see if we can step into that right here. So everything that has been before, that little package with the bow that we did for Kathleen there, that one is definitely an energy that we're going to want to hold on to. Now, this victimhood, there's a closing sensation. I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, all I can describe it is that I want to.
It's almost like you withdraw on yourself, right?
Yeah, but it's like with, but I've also got all of those sorts of people around me that just, it's like there's this door that can't open. So to open that door, create space to open that door.
Okay, so I got it here. So we're gonna open up the package in the bow that. Excuse me. Excuse me. So all of those energies that we came together with, we've got the galactic connection potentials, we've got the disclosure movement, we've got activation, everything inside of that one bundle right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold space for that inside of an opening door that isn't releasing victimhood. It's about a doorway of stepping into sovereignty, of stepping into power. And so we're not even going to pay attention to the victimhood. What we're going to do is hold space for that sovereign, powerful state. Okay?
Yep.
All right, so what we're going to do now, very specifically, there's a door opening. That is one of the strong things coming through that we have to really hold on and hold space for here. And we don't really need to know what that door opening is, but we have to hold on to that opening powerfully. So the package, the bow, all of those things inside of that awesome sensation, and then the opening. And then we're going to let Leah take that right into the powerful space. That was a very interesting rebound of energy and an activation. What did that feel like, Leah?
I just feel a little bit stronger, taller.
It's almost like your body's growing a bit right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that is a very interesting sensation. So what happened was I felt everybody tuning into that package, and then that door, there was almost something trying to keep it closed, and then it got pushed open. And it's like the energy shot into it, and then it bounced back, and then it found a zero space where there is no door. So that was really interesting right there. What I want you to do right now is I want you to feel yourself opening up this doorway and walking up a set of 10 or 15 stairs, and it getting brighter and stronger as you reach up into that light at the top of the stairs. Right there. Turn that feeling up. Feel all that light, all that strength on the outside, and take that out breath and pull it inside. There it is. There it is, Leah. Do you feel how you've got a bunch of hard spaces that are releasing now?
Yeah. I'm
Let
all
it go.
sweaty.
Drop it right out of the root, out of the feet. Feel the sun pulling as well. Get rid of all of that there. Much cleaner. So Leah, when I say that you are amazing and beautiful and talented and powerful, you're not shrinking back from that anymore, are you?
No.
Ta-da! It's magic. Right on. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up? You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
I think we've pretty much covered everything there.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's move on then here. We've got Leah. Let's get you muted there. Who is next? Sina. Can you hear me?
Hi, Eric.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Glad to hear it. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It was really interesting when we were doing the group thing to step into the group circle.
Mm-hmm.
There was definite sensations around that, and I've worked with you before in these group settings, and yeah, really cool. So,
good stuff. Good stuff. So what are you celebrating today? What are you really excited to bring into your future?
I've been able to take some concrete steps towards regaining my sovereignty, and also finding really meaningful work and community around me. I've moved somewhere new, and I found like a group of people. So I think that's awesome that I've been able to do that, given the circumstances. So yeah, I'm very grateful that I've been able to do that, and even though some of the challenges that I have in my life they're ongoing. But it's awesome. It's knowing that if you put in the work, you do get the answers.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And sometimes, like you said, like I'm not very, like I forget sometimes, but no, I'm just celebrating the what I've been able to achieve. So sovereignty, I guess.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So there's a few things that I'm connecting into here. So there's definitely that natural organic evolution. There's growth potential exploration that I'm feeling inside of that. It's almost like you're stepping into a space that you've never felt before and you're stretching yourself into it now, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Very good. So that feeling right there of, it's almost like being inside of a fish tank and then recognizing that you just got dunked into a pond and now there's no limits except for the entire pond. Or the ocean if you wanted to go even bigger. And that's that feeling that I'm experiencing with that growth right there. So we want to have that feeling of like being that big fish in the tiny, tiny pond, all of a sudden expanded out to limitless scope, limitless expansion of the places that you can go. But on the other end of that, when we inhale into the body, that what's mine is mine, and then you push out what's yours is yours, we're going to want to hold space for Sina as he does that. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold space with this this growth, this expansion, and then we're going to kind of watch you pull in on yourself and push everything that's not you back out. And we're going to replicate that from the outside. We're going to help anything that's on the outside flow into you, that's yours, and anything that you're going to try to push out, we're going to really kind of pull it off of you to make it nice and easy right there. So let's tune into that first. Little tiny fish bowl, closed in, stuck. And then dissolve that fishbowl and realize there's limitless exploration in every direction. There we go. Start inhaling in what's mine is mine. Exhaling out what's yours is yours, Sina. How's that feel there?
Good, thank you.
You are very welcome. That was a very interesting sensation. I don't think I've ever experienced that closed off space and then that expansiveness before. That's a new one that I'm going to have to go and explore. It makes me wonder, if you can take that perspective and even if you feel like you're inside of the ocean, that's still a barrier because you've got all the solar system to explore. And that's still a barrier because you've got all the galaxy to explore. And it really makes me wonder if I can tune into that sensation to find my next jump up, I guess you could say. And yeah, I'm going to have to play around with that one. Thank you for bringing that one to my attention. That was actually pretty cool.
Thank you. Thanks everyone else for everything.
You are very welcome. Let's get you muted here. Sophie Miller. I'm unmuting you right now, and it looks like you're going to have to unmute yourself.
Hi, Eric. How you going?
I am doing quite well. How are you doing today?
Ah, phenomenal. That meditation was just, there's almost no words for it. Like towards the end, I just felt like my whole body and reality just completely release and then reset. It was just, yeah, it was just overwhelming, and just seeing the future of what I've been invoking last year to this year, just, coming into fruition. It was just amazing.
That is beautiful. And this is exactly why I do these types of things, because the levels that I've been able to explore inside of my body, I've heard of people doing stuff like this, but I've never been able to get a complete understanding of how to get there. And what I've been trying to do is just translate this as much as I can to give you guys a pathway with the words to step into those sensations and those energies, because pure reset is possible. You can literally step into a place to where your molecular structure, the environment around you, the time, the space, everything, it resets to a point to where you are in control, you are in command. And everything becomes, an option, whether or not it feels good or it doesn't, and that's where we're stepping to with the entire planet. And so right now, what we just did actually with the group, And the way that we connected in together, that's like a microcosm of what is happening. The entire collective of humanity is starting to open. And so right now we have very open spaces where we have people like us who are doing this type of work right here, much more higher vibration and aware of these levels than a lot of the people who are undergoing just the regular programs and whatnot. And so inside of this space, we can come into here and then we can start expanding it out. We can make it bigger. We can start stretching down filaments of light to the people who are stuck inside of more heavy places. And it's very similar to how we clean out our multidimensional field. We find the other versions of ourselves that are beautiful, that are pure, that are powerful and clean and healing. And then we start spreading that out to, you know, the other versions of ourselves that aren't so bright. And it's really, truly amazing, really, truly amazing when we step into a space to where it's like, well, I don't even have to guess what's coming. I know. I mean, I can't tell you the exact progression of it, but I can tell you what's going to come into fruition is this energy right here. And I don't know how we're going to get there, but I know that we are. And when we do that, we can start really making things that are certain for ourselves, not just on the planetary levels, but like the individual levels too. And say, for instance, that you spend 15 or 20 minutes a day projecting into a timeline that you want to have happen, it's going to happen no matter what, because not only are you creating it, you're embodying it. And if you embody it, it's like you're magnetically pulling yourself into that timeline to experience it anyway. And this is really easy stuff once you understand the sensations, but you know, we haven't understood the sensations for a long, long time. And that's exactly why we're doing this. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. And the beauty of it too was it wasn't like it was, you know, I could feel it through my body, the changes, but it was just ricocheting out to so many people that I have those soul contracts with. So it was just so beautiful just seeing the impact on others as well, not just myself and my reality, but yeah, it was amazing.
See, that's the thing. It is not selfish to take care of yourself so that you can serve more, you know? And when we spend however long it needs to be to make sure that we're right, to make sure that we're healthy, that we're balanced, it creates a field around us that it affects other people. It opens up the doorway for them to start recognizing this stuff too. And it's a very infectious energy. It's something that as soon as you feel it, you want more of it. You want to be near that person. You want to experience that energy. And eventually it gets to the point to where like, hey, can I do that? And then you do. So, you know, and it's powerful stuff. It's really powerful stuff. We can't force other people to wake up, but what we can do is create such a high vibratory environment that anything that's really heavy inside of them, it sticks up. It makes them very obviously aware of it. And you either do one of two things. You recognize you don't enjoy it, or you continue on with the programs, and then, you know, that comes later. We deal with those people later on down the road. But everybody else who's activating right now, who's stepping into the space of releasing the density, releasing these programs and moving into much more heart-centered unity consciousness. That's what we're here for right now. And we're probably going to be seeing a schism happening where, you know, some people choose to actively ignore this and other people choose to actively engage in it. And that's probably one of the things that we're going to be noticing as we get closer to the ascension timelines, is all these different resistances that start popping up that give us an awareness of where we need to work on. But right now, it's all about just being as bright as you can and using that light to find the places that resonate with it and then shine more light to them. And the more that we do that, the stronger it gets, the more people who wake up, and the easier this is going to be. You know, it's this isn't going to be an easy process. It's not going to be effortless by any regard whatsoever. We've got a lot of attention, a lot of energy, and a lot of work that we have to do in order to make this transition happen. But the beauty of this is it's simply no more complicated than cleaning yourself out and finding places that you don't like inside of you and then turning them into strengths, turning them into powerful bastions of light. And it changes everything, literally everything.
Beautiful. So what I'd like
celebrating?
Well, the first thing in terms of what I want to evoke is very much so I've felt that like the attack on the divine feminine this year. So I really want to create that alchemy and just send so much unconditional love and presence to those who are actually, you know, bullying and attacking others because they're shining their light and therefore making them feel uncomfortable or for whatever reason it might be. So just revoking that experience and that energy that I've felt this year. And then also just within myself, just to really be able to tune into my body and to clear out all of the density that's causing, issues or pain. So that's the aspects that I'd really like to revoke. And, being small and, in some areas of my life, I can be big. And then other areas I am being small. So they're the areas that I'd like to, send that love and create that alchemy with. And in terms of invoking, it's really, I've just finished my PhD, corrections yesterday. So I'm submitting it today. So
Oh, wow.
it's huge. I started in 2012. So it's this huge journey, that, I'm putting that kind of like behind me. That's kind of like the previous phase of my life. And I'm really stepping into leadership and spirit-led business. So that's really what I want to invoke, where it's leading from within and showing others to lead from within as well and to connect to their sovereignty. And then that just, ricocheting out. So, and then with that, I really like the process of revelation, and then that creating the illumination and exaltation and then expansion. And, I can separate it with those words, but it's essentially just one kind of amalgamation. It's one thing. And then just really just blending all of my skill sets, because, I have the science and then I've got the spiritual side, and I suppose that whole bro thing again. So just really being able to access all of my potentials within my DNA, and just use it as a superpower.
So there is one thing coming through incredibly powerfully and incredibly strongly, and this is sovereign divine feminine energy. And the feeling around this is the ultimate creation, the ultimate creator. The feeling of that nurturing expansiveness. And so one of the things about with the attacks on the divine feminine that's been going on is we, again, just like we don't want to focus on the places where it's blocked up, we want to focus on where it's moving and then bring that into where it's blocked up. That's something similar that I'm feeling right here. And so the attacks on the divine feminine are designed to weaken the energy and not allow the field to be as strong. And so what does the field feel like when it is strong? Okay, so here's the feeling here. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to inhale into your spiritual, scientific, mental, emotional understanding, all of you inside of this space right here, right now. And recognize that the reason that you feel these pressures, these attacks on the divine feminine is because you embody many of those aspects. You embody many of these divine feminine traits. And so when you feel that pressure, when you feel that attack, it affects you internally. Now what we need to do is dissolve the body entirely and leave nothing but that beautiful heart pink, that brilliant, nurturing mother star energy. Mama Earth, that deepness, that right there. See, and then the attacks just disappear. All right, Sophie, I want you to turn this sensation up, and we're going to put everything that we don't want in the past behind us and move forward into what we do. That activation, that potential, that strength. Everybody else, hold space for this. Open up a brilliant, crystalline, ringing space where Sophie is inside, evolving inside of this crystalline cocoon of this pure, divine mother energy. There you go. Turn that up right there. Oh my goodness. Now, Sophie, I want you to reach your hand out and recognize that the entire earth is underneath your palm. I want you to inhale this pure, feminine, divine energy, this nurturing, loving cocktail of just absolute amazing. And inhale this into your hand, and on the exhale, bathe the entire earth flushing through the atmosphere, the crust, the core. Reaching out and finding all of those beautiful aspects of feminine energy. Light them up. Finding all those places where there's so much resistance to this feminine energy. And light it up. Let the goddess stand tall. Bring that back. And recognize this massive aspect of yourself that you're stepping into right now. This is a tiny, tiny microcosm of your higher self. There's so much more to explore, so much more to be. But right here, right now, is what is important. This is the gateway. This is the doorway. This opens it all, Sophie. Beautiful. How's that feeling there?
Oh man. That was so intense. It was like all of my ancestors that I'm connected to just offering me their gifts in terms of activating the divine feminine within me and the earth.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Within me and that connection, and just expanding it outwards for not only raising the divine feminine within me, but then offering that energy to everyone. Oof, I'm really like high. Offering that energy to everyone, males and females, to just activate it within them, and then everyone's like rising and connecting with me, and then they're offering it out, so it's even making more connections through them. And it's just, and my whole body was like shaking in terms of releasing that trauma. And then my heart palpitations actually started because I get some heart palpitations that I'm resolving, and so then I was just blowing that energy through the channel of where that's like impacting me, or wherever that's coming from, like with the tachycardiac. So just trying to clear that out as well. So that was huge.
That was really, really amazing. So let me see if I could explain this from my perspective. So what you did is you knew exactly where you wanted to be. It wasn't something along the lines of like, I guess I could go in that direction, or I might be able to find myself there. It was like, no, I know this is where I'm supposed to be right here. And this is what's keeping that from happening. And so what we did is, it's almost like we stepped into the place to where this is the future and this is the past. And then you stepped right into that 0 point. And from that 0 point, you were able to dissolve that duality. And from that dissolution right there, the body disappeared, everything disappeared. And so it put you into a space to where you could immediately tap into pure divine feminine energy without any of the programs that are on the surface of the planet. And from that space right there, you could turn it up as loud as you wanted to inside of your physical body, even though you were outside the earth right now. And so what you did, that gateway, that pressure, that movement that you did pushing it into the earth, you opened that doorway, not just for everybody else, but for you as well. And now you can inhale that into your physical body, can't you?
Yep. And I was like reaching it out in terms of like just clearing any like atrocities on the divine feminine in terms of, you know, rape or whatever it might be. So just, clearing that out, and whew.
That was a rough one. And I got to tell you, I felt that very, very clearly. I've got aspects of that I'm cleaning out myself. And unfortunately, I've got the predatory side too. I've got some really warped male, sacred masculine aspects that I've been reversing and engineering on that level too. And one of the things that I just realized is I need to stop just going into strictly male or strictly female, because those aspects that I was actually working on just a week and a half ago that I'm feeling with the sacred masculine wounding, I'm feeling releasing already from that energy that you just moved through on the feminine levels right now. So thank you so much, Sophie. You totally just helped me out.
Pleasure. Is there any insight you can give me with that bit of that tachycardiac I felt towards the end?
So the heart is a joy generator. And when we end up having the pericardium, which is the, I guess you could say the pacemaker of the heart, when it gives the heart the jolt to move, to bump, what ends up happening is that inside of the pericardium and the heart, we might end up with things that are jumped in the way of our joy generation. And so when you create that smile energy, it's always something that you have to build up. It's never as strong as you want it to begin with, is it?
Yeah, correct.
So that right there, that is what you're going to want to start cleaning out. So I would definitely recommend looking up on like a Google image search for the pericardium meridian and see how that interacts with the body, and just clean it out. See where it starts, see where it stops, and move that all the way through into the chest and get both sides. Once you get that, clean out the heart meridian, and that really should bring an awareness to where that block in the joy generation is, because as soon as you move it, you're going to immediately recognize it's like a, whoa, you know, and it's a feeling of like, instead of being something you have to activate, it's just spreading.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone being here. It's such a beautiful, yeah.
Isn't it an amazing group of people? Like, I am so privileged and so gifted and just so honored to be here in the space to where I could draw such amazing people into one spot. I mean, it's just, man, I love my job.
It's phenomenal. So thank you all, and thank you, Eric.
You are very welcome. Let's get you muted here. All right, last two. Teresa, you are going to be last. Starlight, you are next. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you.
Thank you. How are you feeling right now?
Oh my goodness. I'm so happy the whole time. I wait for many days. I said, tomorrow we are going to play with Eric. We are so happy. So can I tell you what happened to the song? What happened? Well, I decided to work with the crystal during your session. So if we meditate, I will go meditate, but the rest, all the crystals are recording all the processing here. So when we go to the sun, you told us to hold hand with one another. That was so powerful because we are all in our rainbow body, like crystalline body in the galactic. I forgot which one go first. You say the sun is the third eye, the earth is the solar plexus. And I remember I said like, yes, we are the ones create the sun, moon, stars. We are the one create the playground while we are still source energy before we take form. Then I realized it's the remembrance. All of us is the original grace. That how playful, how happy, like you say, unleashing natural humanity. This is our birthright. When we are not in this, we buy into the program because the program separate us. So we have to be better and more beautiful, more whatever, just to be valid. When we have a circle create up there, we are just one breath, one heart. Like if I go to my heart, I can feel your heart, I can feel other people's heart. I feel that is the original grace. Your movement, say, unleashing the natural humanity is about. And other, I forgot. There are just so many amazing people. All of us is like, oh, you say time travel. That is also beautiful because I see all of us is total timeless. We can be old and young any moment we want. So instead of being masterful, being a master, we are just being God or being divine, being the source that is before the God, the goddesses. Just like you say, 0 point energy. That's what I got.
You know, for somebody who pretty much my job is just translating energy, I don't think I could have heard that put more beautifully. I don't think I could have come even close to that. That was absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much, Starlight. That's exactly how I feel it. You just nailed that in words right there.
I loved it so much because you remind me so much when I was a kid. I played with my brother, my young little brothers. We can be anything. Then we just go boom, all the magic happen. And every time with you and in your groups, I just magic. We are just playing, really nothing big deal. Just everything just a play. If you don't like the game, leave it. You know, go play something else or go take a nap or go swim. You know?
Yeah. Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. So one of the things that I saw, like specifically when we grabbed our hands with each other, when we were in that space, we weren't in our physical bodies anymore. It was like we were, the intention was to reach out and connect, and it was to physically connect, even though we didn't have a physical body. And that's one of the reasons why I said, look around, you know, pay attention to what's happening. And look at these sparks of life, these flames of majesty that are around you. These are the souls of the people that we're here with right now. And you are one of them. You are just as beautiful, just as powerful. And that right there, when you can see somebody else's divinity like that, it makes it so much easier to turn that back around and look internally and see that same resonance and recognize, like, I am divine. I am God. Like, oh my goodness. And you can feel it. And when you can feel that, you can use it. When you can use it, everything shifts. You know, we don't have to exist in the same reality that we've been in, where there's been so much destruction and chaos. Like, we can create something that will transcend all of this and fix our world in the way that we want to experience it. And I mean, just look, like, we're all gods, you know, like, it's just that time and space, you know, it's a bit dense. It's a little bit slower than the energy. And so we have to create the energy to begin with, and then follow that through time just by playing our part inside of it. But it's all about, you know, recognizing that we have already created this. Like, we've already done it. Like, it's already done. It's over. It's past. What we have to do is play out our role inside of time right now. And as you play out your role inside of time, you'll recognize places inside of you that don't want you to play this out. And that's, you know, those are the resistances that we look into. And then we say, hey, are you here for my highest enlightenment? Are you here for my highest good? What is the purpose of this density? What is the purpose of this blockage being here? And if there's no purpose other than just being heavy and dense, why keep it? You know?
Yes.
The more you do that, the higher you get. The more expansive that we can interact with, the more that we can recreate right here and right now. And you know, the people in this echelon right here who are using these energies in these high vibrational fields, it's a very small percentage compared to the entire population right now. And what we're doing is, just by simply existing inside of that field, inside of that perspective, is it's like we're opening up the doorway for the rest of the planetary populace. We're opening up the doorway for all the asleep people at the wheel, all the programs that are running unconsciously underneath the surface, just to simply bring awareness to it. Because when we lift up the vibration of the entire planet, we can point at things that are heavy a lot easier. And that's kind of what's going on right now. And what we do inside of ourselves, it's a microcosm of the macro of the world that we're cleaning out right now. And if we pay attention to the lessons that happen as we clean ourselves out, you know, specifically recognize where there's blockage, recognize where there's damage, but don't fight against it. Don't put all your attention into it. Just recognize that it's there, then find a place that's clean and open and powerful, and turn that on, and then bring that through. And it has no choice but to, you know, it's like turning on a light switch. It's the same exact thing. If we learn how to do this internally, we can do this externally as well. And this means that we have to stop paying attention to everything where it's going wrong. And that's a really easy thing to do when there's nothing but wrong things on the outside. And so we have to be aware of them. Don't get me wrong. We can't put our heads in the sand. We have to be aware. We have to understand where we need to work. But what we need to do right now is exactly what we're doing. Coming together and finding where it does move, where it is clean, where it is powerful, and then creating more of it. And eventually we're going to have to actually create physical places to where we can come physically to join each other in these types of things, to where you know, 50, 60 people can live off of the land, no problem. And we don't have to worry about money or anything like that. And we can cohabitate, we can coexist. And from that space right there, we're going to have like my immersion retreat here at the end of the month. It's going to be a way of life, you know, and it's going to be something from that. We can build something so clean, so beautiful, and so powerful that we can move that into the places where it's blocked in the world around us physically. And then it has no choice but to turn on like a light switch. So
yes,
you know, that's what we're doing right here. We're still in the very beginnings of this. We're still in the first stages and really starting to understand this, but the path is already very clear if you understand how to clean yourself out and you're paying attention. That's it.
Yes.
So now what are you celebrating today, Starlight?
I'm going to celebrate like untamed, uninhibited brilliance and happiness, joy, not trying to be sympathized with everybody. If they are not happy or sad, I have to pretending I'm sad. That's my old self. It's like, I really love you. And it's not my job to get entangled. If you want to play, come to play with me. But definitely it's not going to save the world per se, because I did that my entire life.
Yeah.
And I used to feel we all have this world on our shoulder, and we have this Messiah complex, right? But if you become the sun does not carry the world in the shoulder. The sun just shine, just have a great time.
Exactly.
So that's I just want to. Oh, outside I would love have no. You know, I'm writing my book, right? There are certain part kind of like, because I talk about the things people don't talk about, pretty intense, like shadow, dark self. But I want to share a lot of light, humor, whatever into those parts. Of course, people need to cry, need to really heal when the deep tear come out. But I would love to have that galactic sun, all the love we just experienced in our meditation, passing through every page. That I would love to see it happen.
I absolutely love that intention. That is just, that is such an honorable, such a powerful intention right there. So we're definitely going to hold on to Starlight's book, which, by the way, you're at like 100,000 words now?
Yeah, I try to make it shorter.
You do what you need to. You know, you're articulate enough, and you can condense things down to very, very fine points of understanding. And if it's 100,000 words that you had to use in order to explain all of this, somebody else probably would have taken 1,000,000. So you do what you need to with that. But like, what we need to do with this here is the other thing, the other aspect of this, the unburdened, unfettered, raw, wild potential for explosive joy and love.
Yes.
That right there is what we want to start tuning into. And the way that I feel these things is it's almost like if we're looking at like a cyclone or a tornado or something like that, but instead of just like one flow, like one tornado right here, instead we took like 3 or 4 of them and we wrapped them around each other, and then we turned it all on. And instead of having a physical wind right there, it was nothing but joy, excitement, and explosive evolution. That's what those feel like to me. And so like what we want to do, let's tune into that maelstrom of explosive potential, of excitement, of joy, of understanding, of that connection that we made today in this field outside the planet right there. All right, now let's tune into Starlight's book. And let's combine these two energies together. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold space for an explosive joy activation as she shares this beautiful creation that she spent such time, effort, and just absolute unconditional love on creating. Let's turn this up and recognize that yes, we can open up the doorway for extreme trauma release and healing. And just because we're hitting those deep tears, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means we're purging. And if anything, hitting those deep tears, it's one of the best things you can ever do. It's one of the most powerful things you can ever do. And to be able to help other people induce themselves into it, it's an honor. It truly is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
How does that feel there, Starlight?
Oh, I feel so wonderful. I feel as if I'm channeling your 2 years old girl. I'm just so happy.
That's the best right there. Oh, that little child laughter. It feels so good. And the funny thing is you can actually go and look in the mirror afterwards. It makes you younger. Like it literally makes you younger. The more you can feel that in-depth young child laughing inside of you, the more your body is like, well, why am I old?
Exactly. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. All right. Is there anything else, Starlight?
I want to share something like leaving the old humanity, enter this unleashing natural humanity, because, you know, for example, this kind of personal, but I don't mind to share with this group. Like I with a guy, every woman love him, right? Then in my old self, I will get kind of nervous and insecure. and trying to thinking, am I beautiful enough? Am I brilliant enough? All of this. And the other day, I have no idea. I just speak from my heart. I said, actually, I think you should go out to practice. When you are getting really, really good, you come back, then we are getting serious. And then we laugh so hard. And I remember all my mom's tears, all the women's tears. It's so ridiculous. So
see, and this is exactly what we were talking about earlier with, I believe it was Sophie that we went through with the goddess energy right there. It was either Sophie or Leah. I think we did feminine with both of them. But what, like we were just talking about earlier, the attacks on the divine feminine, that is one of the biggest ones right there. That insecurity, that feeling of, am I good enough? Am I the best possible version for this? That right there, that feeling, anytime that you feel that sensation right there, recognize it for what it is, an extreme attack on the divine feminine, because you know what? You are beautiful. You are more than enough. And you always were. And just like every other beautiful woman out there, I don't care even if you feel like you're ugly, you're beautiful.
Yes, we all are.
Every single last one of you. Every single last one of you.
Yes.
And that's exactly where we need to really, really come to terms with that insecurity right there. It's not ours. It's not.
Exactly. Yes.
That was good stuff. Really good stuff there. Is
Much
there anything else? Like, you bring up such amazing points. Like, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up here?
I just love you and everybody so much love. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
You as well. We love you too. Thank you so much for joining us, for adding your light, Starlight. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, let's get you muted here. All right. Teresa, last but not least, I'm trying to unmute you. It won't let me. You're going to have to unmute yourself there.
Hi.
All right, there we go. Hi, how are you doing?
Good.
How are you feeling right now?
Well, after that, laughter, lot more joy.
Good stuff.
And now after the meditation, I felt like I was just completely out. Like, I've been really out of it, like almost the whole time. I think.
So you're definitely going to want to go back through this and do the meditation again. One of the things that I'm feeling that you really blanked out around was the growth. So that growth was a bit hard to stretch into, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that right there, you're going to want to practice with that more than anything. So let's actually do a quick little exercise. This is something that you can physically do to actually play around with how to grow your physical body. Because just because you're in your body right now and the way that it is doesn't mean that you have to keep it that way. You can actively engage and really kind of make things different. So what I want you to do, just see how I've got my fingers lined up perfectly here. All the lines line up, all the fingertips line up with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Do the same thing. Just take a look at it. Everybody else, you guys can do this too. This is really fun. Now, take your dominant hand, put it up in the air, and let your other hand just rest and relax. And what you're going to do is you're going to take a big, deep breath into this hand. And as you do that, you're going to physically grow the hand. And almost like you're making it into like a catcher's mitt, like a big baseball glove or something. And just really feel it get big. Stretching, feeling the skin inflating like a balloon. Let's go to the next level here. Feel your hand getting ridiculously big, way, way bigger than it ever could physically be. Touching the ceiling. Feeling your thumb touching the wall behind you. Recognizing that your hand's inside of a small box right now. And it's just that your hand's big. It's still the same sized room. Now take a big, deep breath into this, even bigger. We're going to blow the hand up until it moves through the roof, larger and larger until you feel the soft, cold, wet clouds right at the tips of your fingers. Big hand. Massive hand. Go ahead and put your hands together and watch how much you grew it.
What? How did that happen? That's so weird.
See, and that was only like 15 or 20 seconds worth of attention on the hand. And it's not even like you made your flesh grow. You physically grew your bones there, didn't you?
Oh my God, that's so weird.
You are in way more control over your body than you think you are. And say, for instance, that you have an injury or something along those lines. If you were to go into that injury and feel it, and then feel your injury, just like you made your hand grow, you feel your injury healing, you can heighten the healing process by 100-fold. Say, for instance, that you're a lot bigger than you want to be. You can actually shrink yourself back in to become a smaller person. Or if you're smaller than you want to be, you can actually inflate yourself to become a bigger person. We hear legends of like titans who were massive humans who were the size of mountains. And I don't think that they were always that size. I think that they could be if they wanted to. And that's kind of what we're stepping into right here. We're recognizing that the density around us is really, really dense and really tight, but the energy is moving fast enough to where even just 15 seconds worth of attention, you can grow your bones. And if you hold on to that, if you lock in a perspective, if you lock in an understanding and you have that in the background always playing, that will become your norm. That will become the background. Just like right now, the background is that we have to get old, we have to experience disease and injury, and then we have to die. We don't. You know, that's just a program, and that's the thing that's in the background. And so the more that you play around with physically shifting and moving your body, the easier it's going to be to grow your energy body as well. So definitely go through this meditation again afterwards, but come with it like almost like a sense like you're growing yourself, just like you were doing with your hand. That was a very clear sensation of growth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that right there. And it was a sensation of growth because it was actually happening. You know, you were making it happen. So, you know, and that's the same thing right there. And if you can encompass that, do that. If you can't, practice around with it. You know, pause the meditation and sit there and just don't give up until you're where you want to be, and then continue with the meditation and go forward into that.
So I guess I have a question, because I do kind of a meditation where I am growing, and I thought I could feel like I was growing, but after this experience, I guess I wasn't. So
well, yes and no. So for like, say for instance, if you're at a level 10 pain and then you drop to a 5, that's going to be an extreme amount of relief right there. But if you're at a level 0 and then you go up to a 5, that's going to be an extreme amount of imbalance and an extreme amount of discomfort. It's the same type of a thing. Just because you feel like this is more intense doesn't mean that you weren't doing it beforehand. It's just that you're doing it more effectively now. So, you know, it's always about the sensation. And if you feel like you already have a really strong sensation with what you're doing already, keep using it. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know the right way to do things. I only know the right way to work for me. And it happens to work for other people fairly often too, you know. But there's things that I do that other people can't even tune into as well. So, you know, it's whatever works for you, and it's all about the sensation. There's no right way to do it. And if you can create a very strong sensation in how you're already doing it, keep using that. Just inhale into it and make it even stronger that way.
But I never knocked myself out, so I'm guessing this was way more powerful.
So yeah, you were making connections into the body brain right there. And so the way that this works right here, like if you've ever had a dream that you're traveling the astral, you're communicating with multidimensional galactic beings, and you're just getting all this information and downloaded understanding just right there. You get it all makes sense, and then you wake up and you're just thunderstruck by the amount of what you've learned and what you understand. And then it starts slipping back and you start forgetting it. And then all of a sudden you're just like, what was it? I can't remember. And, you know, it's because what's happening is that in your waking moments, you're designed to, well, you're not designed, you've been trained to operate just inside of the brain, using your sight, your hearing, your taste, your touch, your smell, and using the words to communicate, the stories to communicate. And when we start dropping out of the words and we go into the sensation, when we start turning up the volume dials inside of the body, what we're doing is we're activating the neural tissues of the heart and the neural tissues of the intestines. And when these start turning on, it's a snap into body-brain mentality. You're turning on the belly brain, you're opening up the heart space, and you're using that to think with. Now, when we have the brain, which if you look at it, this is like 2-3% of the entire mass of the entire body. And it's like a coffee cup's worth of information that we just dumped into the entire bucket of the body. Sometimes you can't fill up your bucket fast enough. And so it's like your consciousness lags behind the filling up of that energy. And so that lag behind effect, that's the blanking out. It's like you logically can't process everything that's going on inside of you. And so you have to kind of give yourself a space to where it's not overwhelming. And that right there, simply going into these meditations, and instead of going as far into them as we did, as fast as we did, you can just kind of break it into pieces, and then, you know, do 10 minutes here and just kind of stop it, pause it, and then go walk around, understand what you're feeling, bring your logical brain back into it, and then go back into it. Start where you left off and then build on top of that again. And that starts to train the neural pathways from the brain into the body. That way you don't blank out anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So what are you celebrating today, Teresa?
Let's see. I'm celebrating. Well, I've been working on compassion, humility, and patience.
Compassion, humility, and patience. Those are some really, really hard ones in our world right now. I found that patience, that was my worst one for me. And it wasn't until I had kids that I really started to have to work on it. And I found that the patience that my children have given me is an absolute incredible boon. And I find that inside of patience, we can really open up the doorway into compassion. Because if you're not allowing yourself to trigger because of somebody else's behavior or somebody else's energy, and you're just being patient with them because you recognize that, hey, they've got stuff going on internally that it doesn't have anything to do with me, it's got everything to do with them. And if they weren't, you know, anxious or irritated or hurting inside, they wouldn't be acting that way. And so just by simply being patient with somebody, it opens up the doorway for understanding, which brings compassion. Because if you see somebody who's got, you know, a bunch of sores running up and down their spine, and it's constantly leaking poison into their nervous system, and it hurts and it's painful, we would see that right there, and we would recognize that that person's acting irritable, they're acting angry because they're hurting, you know, and it's not a nice sensation that they're experiencing. Well, these are all invisible wounds that we really can't see unless we're energetically aware. And so most people only see that person who looks, you know, completely and totally healthy in front of them, acting that way. And so they allow that impatience to trigger, and then you just bounce back nasty resonances with each other. And so simply holding space for somebody's behavior with a compassionate understanding of that person wouldn't act that way if they didn't have something going on. That really brings a space of understanding that we can really start wrapping our minds around and start wrapping that sensation around there. What was the third one you were saying? So patience, compassion, and humility.
Humility, yes.
Now, humility, that is a really interesting one. I have found that humility is a very interesting balance for me, especially because I was a very cocky person. I was, you know, always on the forefront of bragging, you know, like, look what I can do, look what I did, you know, and to experience humility and yet at the same time tell people what is possible, it's a very interesting space. And so one of the things that I found for humility for myself is I'm just a person like you. And, you know, yes, I can do some amazing things, but we're all just people. And if you can figure out what I've done and you practice as long as I had, you might even be better than me at it. And so, yes, we can do some really amazing things in the human body. But the thing is that anybody can have the potential to outstrip us no matter where we're at. If we're not constantly moving forward, if we're not constantly on the lookout for things that we can work on to make ourselves better, cleaner, faster, stronger, then what ends up happening is that we can easily get outstripped, and then we're not in the echelon anymore. We're lagging behind. We're learning from other people. And, you know, that there's always somebody better out there. I don't care who you are, you know, myself included, there's always somebody better out there. And that right there is one of the biggest things that I've really started to recognize was that nobody's better than me, and I'm not better than anybody else. And the same for you. Nobody's better than you, Teresa, and you're not better than anybody else. And it's all about how we hold ourselves inside of this level playing field is where we kind of get our understanding of what we align with. And so by simply stepping into a humility perspective of recognizing that anybody around us has the potential to become so much more than we are right now, that allows a bit more patience, doesn't it? You know, and that patience, it allows understanding, and that opens up the doorway for compassion, you know, so they all kind of play hand in hand, don't they?
Yeah, and you brought up that if just during some of the clearing, I guess, a lot of judgment came up.
So judgment. Judgment usually comes with an understanding of this is the way that it's supposed to be. And so if that person doesn't fall into alignment with, quote, the way that it's supposed to be, then oftentimes what we do is we build up a You know, I almost don't even like saying judgment. It's like we build up a resentment, and we build up a resentment to that person for not being inside of that, quote, perfect space where it's supposed to be. And so that's where that judgment comes from right there. Excuse me, talking for 2.5 hours here. And when you start to build up that resentment right there, it's a heaviness, and it's not as pervasive as like a trauma or an anger or a fear or something that really feels intense like that. But it's like similar to that hesitancy that we were talking about earlier. It's not like, you know, an extreme darkness, and just like it's not an extreme light, it's more along the lines of something in the middle right there. And holding other people in judgment, what we're doing is we're looking at them and we're telling them how they need to grow. And could you imagine yourself looking at a tree and saying the same thing?
Yeah.
You know, even if that tree's bent and twisted, you know, we look at it and we're like, well, that's the way the tree's supposed to be. Look how pretty you are. Thank you. You're alive, you know? And that right there, I find that if we can operate inside of the philosophy of the tree, you know, we see people for who they are, not what we want them to be, not what we think they should be, but who they are right then and there. And inside of that space, they don't feel any judgment. So that opens up the doorway for, you know, release, to where that behavior that we're holding in judgment, where that understanding we're holding in judgment, it lets go, and it opens our doorway for that compassion, for that empathy, for that understanding of, hey, I'm not better than this person. And despite the fact that I see their faults on the outside and I recognize them, I'm not better than they are, you know? And that really starts to still the judgment. That really starts to put us on an equal playing field, because, you know, that's the name of the game. And if it wasn't for the fact that you had a few clues in your lifetime to clue you into the density that was inside of you, you'd be in the same situation, just like a lot of us. You know, like a lot of us came here, you know, including people with the potential to be as bright as we are right now in this group, who haven't woken up yet. And if it wasn't for the fact that we had that awakening, we had that understanding, and then we paid attention to it, we'd oftentimes be in the same situation as well. And we'd be in nowhere near as good a shape as we are right now. And that really just, you're not better than anybody. And if you're not better than anybody, and nobody's better than you, nobody can hold judgment over me, meaning I can't hold judgment over anybody else either. And it's almost like you let down the weight, you let go of it, and the burden lightens, everything starts to release, it feels a lot better. And from that space right there, all we have to do is just activate, you know, find the places that feel good and turn them on even more and more until something else pops up that we don't enjoy. And then we go and we clean that out too. And then once that's gone, we go in and we activate, we turn it on even brighter, we go even higher. And the next thing you know, we've got another thing that's heavy that draws our attention to it. And we just keep on working our way back until it's, you know, 3-4 months in between any time that you find something. And inside of that space, you can't get attacked. You know, there's no astral presences that are dense and heavy and evil on that level that can connect into you if you don't have density for them to connect into. So, you know, just recognize everything is an opportunity for release, including feelings that you don't like inside yourself, especially feelings that you don't like inside yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times it was like judgment on myself that I'm not at a certain place.
Yeah.
But just, so you're saying just, I'm perfect how I am. And
well, I'm not saying that you're perfect how you are. You're perfect in the fact that you're not better than anybody else, and nobody is better than you. We have the opportunity to recognize where we are in that playing field and align with what we want. And so if you feel like you're not perfect yet, that's perfectly okay. You can work on that. You can go towards that direction, but it's not because there's a lack, because you're already whole. You're already where you need to be. It's just that things are clogged up. You know, your natural space, your natural human inside of all that clogging is very, very amazing and powerful and growth oriented and evolutionary in the way that it operates. And all you have to do is just open it up and allow it to naturally progress into that next pathway, into that next level. So yes and no.
I don't know, something happened when you said that. I think something opened up when you said that for some reason.
Well, because one of the reasons that I do this here is I'm tuning into the specific energy around the situation that you're feeling. And then the more that I can translate it, the more I can bring into words, the more aha understanding there is, because then you can then open up the doorway from the pathway that the words brought you into the energy itself. And again, that's honestly one of my greatest gifts, I think, is just simply being able to tune into the energy and translate it. And the energy work that we can do is absolutely amazing. I've seen miracles. You know, it's gotten to the point to where it's every day now. But I think the energy work falls far short from the ability to just simply translate it and then to broadcast it, to show you guys the pathway that you can experience it yourself.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled you can do that. So amazing.
Me too. All right, so now you were celebrating the humility and the compassion and the what was the other one?
Patience.
Patience. Okay, so why am I having such a hard time? I can remember two of them, but then one drops off. It's almost like it's a dualistic energy with something else on top of it, and I keep on missing it. Oh no, it's quad. So there's four. So you've got your compassion, you've got your the patience, the humility, and the judgment. That right there. So that makes sense. So on the other side of humility is judgment, just like on the other side of patience is compassion.
Oh.
So this is what we're going to do here. So just like I was talking about with that maelstrom, those tornadoes coming down, we're going to have one that is moving through. This is all compassion. This is all patience right here. Then we're going to have another one coming through. This is all judgment. This is all humility, all wrapped up. And then we're going to wrap this in the center so that they all conglomerate and then shoot out in different directions here. Let's turn that sensation up. Really feeling that humility, that humbleness, stepping up and releasing that judgment. Feeling that patience, softening and expanding a place of stillness that starts to birth compassion. Right there, turn that sensation up. Teresa, I want you to grow your body with this energy. Inhale and feel yourself starting to expand like a balloon. Right there. There it is. You feel how that's moving underneath the skin now?
Yeah.
Turn that up. Inhale into it. Grow bigger. Grow stronger. There you go. That was a very clear density release. Do you feel how lighter you are now?
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was a really good one. And that judgment, it might not have been heavy, but it was expanded. There was a lot of it. And so cumulatively, it did have a lot of etheric weight that was growing right there, but it wasn't something that was like, you know, you can look back on it like a car accident and say that was a point of trauma right there. And so it's like the judgment that you experience, it's creating almost like an hourglass dropping sand into that field right there. And so it's a tiny, tiny, tiny bit at a time, but it's built up quite a bit. And all of that we just released right there. Can you stretch up into that galactic space? Can you grow larger than the Earth easily now?
I feel like so.
Yep. No, you totally are. So there's still a few places that aren't expanding with you. Do you feel how the back of your heart space is still kind of closed off there?
Yeah.
Inhale into the back of the heart space and the back of the solar plexus with that feeling of that non-judgment, excitement energy there. There you go.
Yeah.
Very good. That's a lot more clear now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Is there anything else, Teresa?
Oh, thank you so much.
You are so very welcome. That was brilliant, everybody. It looks like we lost a few people. I kind of expected that simply because, you know, we are taking a bit of time right here. But let me get Teresa muted here, and we are going to move into the end here. Oh, we got some chats here. Hold on. Pam says, hi, sweet beings. That was beyond incredible. I can't talk right now. I'll listen to all of this later, but I have to go out onto the earth. Love you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are so very welcome, Pam. I'm sorry that you couldn't have made it for the end of this right now, but I am so, so glad that you came and you joined us for what you did. Leah says to everybody, that was awesome, Sophie. Oh, yeah, that was that goddess energy right there, wasn't it? And Kathleen says, thank you, every one of you, you magnificent, beautiful beings. Each share and celebration provided profound insights and activations. That is exactly why we do this, because it's not just about what we're doing for ourselves, it's about what everybody else is doing. And then we can start catching the dreams, the excitement of what they're doing, and then recognize like, I actually love that. I want more of that. I want to do that too. And then when you start going in and you experience that energy and you hold space for it, you turn it up, what you do is you're operating inside of a resonance that you can now reach out and recreate. You can touch those energies, you can feel those energies, and then you can embody them. You can bring them back in. And that actually opens up this door for what we're doing next here. And so what I want everybody to do, just go ahead and start inhaling into your hands and creating a bubble in between your hands. Full of laughter, full of joy, full of light. Lock your hands magnetically into the outer edge of this bubble. Inhale and stretch it open, making this big, and make this blow out into the entire world in front of you. And inside of this space, feel the potentials of humanity. Everything that we just celebrated and activated. This is a small part, very valuable part, but such a small part. And as we inhale into this tininess, feel it expanding into the entire massive collective field, not just the physical earth, but the connections, the soul imprint of humankind. Begin to hold this space, feeling it for what it is, the earth and humanity's auric field. And just like you inhale and you strengthen your auric field, inhale into this, echoing that little child laughter through. Feeling that light activate as we step into these galactic souls, dissolving the body, igniting the flame of the eternal fires. The spark of source, the creation aspect inside of each one of us. And light this up. Feel that laughter, that innocence echoing through. Let's line up all of humanity in front of us. Everybody, crowds and crowds, billions of people. And we're not going to try to move anything through. We're simply going to broadcast. Tune into that feeling behind the words, I love you so much. And inhale it into your hands. And gently caress humanity with this energy. I love you so much. Reaching out, touching faces, wiping away tears. And in this space, it is an absolute honor to be here in this time, right now, doing what we're doing. Recognize it, appreciate it. To all my relations, to all my ancestors, those who came before, those who come after. I'm honored to be here. Thank you all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys did excellent. Absolutely beautiful. I am beyond words with the gratitude of what I am feeling right now, just to be here in this space, to be among such amazing people right now. Thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, go forth, go throughout your day, live, love, be excited, recognize we've opened up a doorway for the next 3 months here, that the more we connect into this space right here, right now, the stronger we can move through all the way to that next 0 point, all the way to that next space to where we can join, we can come together and create something more powerful with more momentum. You guys are amazing. And I really, really don't enjoy ending these things, but we have to go now. And it was just beautiful. Everybody did so, so good. I am so proud of all of you. We've got Teresa says thank you. Sina says thank you. Thanks, everyone. You guys are all so welcome. Thank yourselves. Pats on the back all the way around. We couldn't have done this as powerfully if it wasn't for the group. We can do very, very powerful individual work. But when we come together in a group like this, man, like everybody's numbers, they all times each other. And then we create something so much more powerful that we can then stretch out from inside of, we can connect into, we can actively embody that feeling inside of ourselves, and we can step up into a stronger resonance. And this is exactly why we're going to start heading into the physical with this. So thank you all so much for being here. It is my honor to guide you through this. I don't think you understand how much you actually shifted for humanity today. Incredible work, guys. Absolutely incredible work. And again, it's my honor to be here. And without further ado, thank you all so much for joining. Bye-bye.